Madam Vice Chair is going to be running a little late this morning, so just giving everybody a heads up. Before I call on Lake Travis to do our WO check, this morning, of course, remember our elders that passed on, and we had a Curdy, if you could let Dion remember your buddy that passed. Now he's he made his journey, so you let her know and keep him in prayer and his family. Thank you. What's his name? Louis. Louis. So you have to keep Louis in your prayer this morning.
Leaders that sits at this table. Hashem, we say special prayers for Louis Williams, his family, his children, everybody that loves him, his friends, the ones who work with him every day. Hashem, we thank you for his life. We thank you for his gifts, for all of the young lives that he touched. Hashem. Thank you for everything that you contributed, not only to our community, but to our young people, but to all the people who watched and experienced and coach our young men. Hashtag, say Wokia for the ones that have passed, that contributed to this tribe, who brought us in helped us become who we are today. They will be for them, for their lives, and ask that it can be with their family and their loved ones on this day. Hashem, I say a special prayer for all the ones today in our community that are sick. Hashem, I pray the ones that are struggling with addiction, that you bring healing to them, to Hashem. That our people don't have to die from their addiction anymore. I pray for healing for them. I pray for the ones that are in the hospital. I ask that you watch over them and take care of them in the best way that you can. I pray for the ones that are in prison. I pray for the ones that are homebound, that are lonely. Hashem, I ask that you be with them, that you comfort them and take care of them on this day. Hashem, I pray for our young ones, our little ones, the ones that are unborn. Pray for our children that are suffering on this day. Krishna, I ask that you be with them, that you protect them, that you bring healing to their families. Krishna, I ask that you watch over us on this day. Krishna, people that sit around this table, Krishna, I ask that you be with their families, that you be with their loved ones, that you protect them and take care of them in the best way that you can. Krishna, pray for guidance for us to make good decisions on behalf of our people. Krishna, see, Nita Wokida, Krishna, for everything that you bless this day. Krishna, especially this day. Thank you.
Before I turn it over to Kimberly, just a reminder that there's going to be action items only today. So I apologize if I'm going to rush our agenda. I know Louis has to get on the road. He's going to be attending our United Tribes Board meeting graduation. He's going to be giving some blankets to our SWO graduates tomorrow. I know I was going to travel with him, but I'm going to be with the chairman and council from Hunkpati Nation, Fort Thompson, that are going to be doing some tours and wanting to visit some leadership here. And that's going to be tomorrow morning, and also too, this afternoon, actually today, it's going to be all day today and tomorrow, the ICWA conference that's happening at Dakota Sioux. I'd like to have some leadership go over this afternoon, and as well as tomorrow, and also leadership here if you guys are available tomorrow for the walkthrough with the leadership from the Hunkpati Oyate. So I know we're going to have a busy schedule for the last couple of days, but So just giving you a heads up, forgive me if I'm gonna keep reminding everybody for the action items only. And hang in there, Curtis. I know you lost your bro, so I know it's hard to focus. So we'll get through today. With that, Kimberly, I'm gonna turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. I provided a memo to you all yesterday about procurement, and then I provided the procurement policy, and this morning I provided the resolution that has all the COVID items on it, which to my legal analysis, the procurement policy applies to those, exemption for procurement applies to those particular projects that were executed under exigent and emergency circumstances. So that's what I wanted to say about that. And Lenny actually asked me, why did the COVID projects not go out to procurement? And that memo was in response to her question, and also whether the procurement policies applies to the BIA renovation. So I just wanted to, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. I know that's not an action item, but I just wanted to clear that up. So the first action item I have for you all is a 1-month extension for Karen Gangel's contract to serve as our prosecutor. I don't believe we've had any applications for that position, and so her contract ends on May 31st. She's agreed to stay on another month. So the first action item I have is, and I'd like a motion to approve her contract, or approve this new contract for professional services from June 1st to June 30th.
Dion, your hand is raised. I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we have had no applicants for that position?
I don't think we have. I sent an email to Arnold this morning to just confirm, as of earlier this week, there were no applicants. And so I'm imagining that that's probably the same status, that there's been no applicants.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'm just wondering, is there a way, recruitment, or is there a way that we can advertise further, or maybe contact somebody to assist us with, because we have several positions for attorneys that are just not filled, and maybe they don't read the SHOTA or something, I don't know, but we probably need to try to find a recruitment firm or something.
Kimberly, and also Madam Secretary, if refresh my memory, I think we did advertise out to not only our paper, we advertised out to other papers in the Indian country. Yeah, Turtle Talk.
I haven't seen it on Turtle Talk recently. We need to do that on Turtle Talk, the chief judge, the public defender, and the prosecutor on Turtle Talk.
Yeah. Can you do that ASAP, Kimberly?
Yes, absolutely.
If you make those decisions, I don't want those to fall on the wayside.
Yes.
It's not happening.
Absolutely. Okay.
I appreciate it, Kimberly.
So does anybody want to make a motion to approve this 1-month contract for Karen Gangle?
If there's no further questions or comments regarding the request, the motion,
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
moved by Kakiza Haska. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Lake Charbers. Your question? Members of council and execs, if there's no question, I'm going to call for a vote.
Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana,
Yes.
Dallas Owen,
I'm pretty sure. Oh, you know what? Arnold would be the final sayer in that. As of earlier this week, there were no applicants. And I emailed him this morning, didn't get a reply back yet.
Arnold will be out, Lewis is his uncle. A. Lydia Amos. Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
I was going to say,
Thank you, council and execs.
can I change my vote?
Yep.
I want to change it to no.
Okay. Get that, Berlin?
Chairman, the vote is tied, the vote is required to make it tie.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you.
The next action I have is authorization for the chairman to sign a resolution regarding Keno roulette and craps being added to the North Dakota Gaming Compact, and to also the resolution then authorizes him to sign an amendment to the Gaming Compact. I get a motion to approve that and have the chairman sign that, please?
Any discussion coming from leadership before we entertain a motion?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
So moved by Lake Traverse. Second by Buffalo Lake.
Question.
Question, Long Hollow.
Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Curtis Bissonnette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy
Yes.
Dallas Owen,
Pardon me?
yes. A. Lydia Amos, Louis Johnson, Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Before we move on, I'd like to probably, I know, Louis, I know when we go to our United Tribal Board meeting, then in the afternoon, it's switched to UTCA, United Tribal Gaming Association that we attend. I know they got representative of the gaming commissions for Spear Lake, and I can't remember the other one. Tiger Rock? I was wondering if we could have a representative from our gaming commission attend those, so we can have a better informed decisions when we come back. Is this a thought? Yeah. But I like, okay, because I'd like one of those guys to attend with us. They're more interested. Exactly. Especially when that comes up to, when they go up into that. Exactly, so that's my thought. So either way, I would like to have Weston or member of, maybe the director of the gaming commission attend those. But we can do that. Yeah. But I just want to bring that up. Thanks, Kimberly, for bringing forward that. You brought this up.
Absolutely. The next resolution that was in your packet is a resolution to appoint Angelique Eaglewoman as the acting Chief Justice of our Supreme Court. The current acting Chief Justice has decided he doesn't have enough time to really do the position, to do the work adequately, give it the attention that it deserves, and he thinks that since she assisted in Wapiton, that she should be the acting Chief Justice, so that resolution would put her in that position. Could I get a motion for the chairman to sign that?
Before I ask for a motion, is there any questions or comments from leadership on the issue? Dion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So how long is the acting term, and is this being advertised? Has it been advertised?
I don't know that that's being advertised yet. That's an Arnold question, too. I could get with Arnold on that if you'd like me to. I know our chief judge is being advertised, but I don't know that the Supreme Court is. That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know the process of the chief judge on that.
Pardon me?
Yeah, the Chief Justice, because I would like to see our own tribal member to that position, but we got to make sure we follow the procedures.
Right, correct, yes. So this just puts her in as acting while we do the search to fill it permanently. This is acting.
Okay.
No further questions coming from council. Is there a motion to approve? So moved by
Second.
Noah.
Second.
Second by Lake Showers.
Question.
Dallas Owen,
Question.
A. Lydia Amos. Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana.
Yes.
Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you. Next on my list is a AIA contract for Johnson's Controls to do some work on the BIA renovation building. This is a contract for about $88,000, and this is an AIA contract because it does include labor, and they would be installing that equipment. And then the second one that you have in your packet is just a purchase order for additional equipment. And I don't know if we can do these as two things or whether you need a motion for each one separately. Okay, could I get a motion then to approve the AIA contract for Johnson Controls? And Jesse's here to answer any questions if you have any technical questions about the Johnson Controls work at the BIA renovation.
Any questions or comments coming from the leadership? Dallas, I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Dallas.
I would still like to see if there was the procurement, so it would just run through the procurement process, bids, RFPs, right, Jesse?
These,
RFPs and all that fun stuff. Didn't happen. This,
Everything else on the project, like, did it out, except that, especially that.
and the reason that we don't want to lose our place in line with Johnson Controls is because they're very backed up, and a delay would make it that we might get pushed back and then lose the opportunity to get this equipment. Is that right, Mr. Larson?
Yes,
so is this considered a sole source then?
yes.
Is there a sole source letter?
I have no idea.
All right, thank you.
And it says it doesn't include the tariff and excise taxes or freight. Do we have an estimation on those costs?
This was part of discussion back and forth between us and Johnson Controls. They're very specialized in what they do and in the quality of work that they offer. So this is what the negotiations came with. The one that I really focused on was the sovereign immunity. They're not asking us to waive our sovereign immunity. They do state that if there was any disputes, that South Dakota law would be applied. And we can apply South Dakota law in our court. They don't necessarily say the venue has to be in South Dakota, but they do ask for the application of South Dakota law. So that's really what I focused on, was the sovereign immunity aspect of it.
So, do you have an estimate on those then?
On the tariff tax,
Yeah.
estimated on the whole entire project,
Okay. And is the freight going to be outrageous? The freight? Because that's not included either. Well, no, because this contract here, it says it doesn't include the tariff and excise taxes or the freight. So how much, that's why I'm wondering.
we have no idea what the rate will be.
Yeah, because, just so long it end up not being, another 300,000 on top of that. Okay.
Thank you, council, for clarification on your questions. Anything else? If not, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve for the AIA contract. So moved by Buffalo Lake,
Second.
second by Kakiza Haska. I'm going to question over by Dion when you're done. Oh, you want a question? Question by Dion.
Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy
Yes.
Dallas Owen.
I'll say no.
A. Lydia Amos. Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you, Councilor Sachs.
Could I then get a motion to approve the purchase order and have the chairman sign it for the additional equipment?
Any questions or comments from council before I ask for a motion? If there's no questions or comments, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve. Johnson Controls.
Johnson Controls? I can't hear Dallas.
Basically,
Yeah.
basically he's asking if everything went through the process on
Oh, I just, did it go through the process?
Several times.
Yeah, it's dated for 10/29/2020.
Yeah. And I just got it the other day. I don't know where it's been, but, so I'm presenting it to you so that we can move this along and get this. done.
It started with the previous administration, then, right? Alright. And I'll motion.
So moved by Tocumwah.
Oh, thank you.
Second.
Second by Lake Traverse. Question, Buffalo.
Dallas Owen.
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos. Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy
Yes.
Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you, Councilor Sachs.
And that's all I have for you. I just wanted to let you know that I do have Bruce Jones contracts, if anybody wants to see them. I know there's been a question. He does have an AIA contract to work on the BIA 638 Justice Center. It's been in place since last June. That contract was never invalidated, and you have to do that in writing. Nobody ever invalidated that contract. That's a good contract for him to work on that project, and I understand he has been. The other contract that Bruce Jones has is a consulting contract that I brought to the council in January that you all approved, and that consulting contract is on an hourly basis, and he gets work on that consulting contract through approved task orders that the tribal council approves. And so I brought copies if anybody wants to see those, because I understand that there's ongoing questions about that, so I want to make sure that those were addressed.
Floor is yours.
You want copies? Okay. Anybody have any questions about that? Okay, I'm done, and thank you very much for your time.
Motion to approve the legal office report.
So move.
So moved by Takisa Hasta. Yagapta, second that.
Question.
Question by Haipa.
Curtis Bissonette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy
Yes.
Dallas Owen.
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos.
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you, Councilor Execs.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kimberly. Moving on to Health Department. Remember, I don't want to really want to rush you, but I really do. Action items open.
Kimberly, I think this is yours. Good morning, everyone. I have 3 contracts, I handed them out.
Thank you.
All 3 of them are for clinical supervision for different programs within the SWO Behavioral Health Department. So we can start the first one with the clinical supervision contract with Daniel Gill.
Yep.
He has been providing clinical
Okay.
supervision to 2 ACTs under the TREE program. His contract expired, so we're just renewing it till the end of the year. Any questions about what he does? He provides 2 hours of consultation Daniel Deal.
Any questions or comments coming from leadership? Deanne?
So is that 2 hours a week of supervision, is that adequate to meet their licensure requirements?
Yes, it is.
Are they, is it, so it's just 2? Would he be willing to pick up some of those, the other ones on the reservation that are on? Because I think there's others that are on ACP status too, maybe not.
Well, this is just for the tree program. Now, I spoke to Skyman last week. He would like to put out a RFP for clinical supervision for his ACTs. He can definitely ask Dan to put a bid in.
That would be great.
Yeah, he's very good. He's like
Yeah.
the first 3 in South Dakota that received their LAC. He has a lot of knowledge. He wrote the Volunteers of American Youth Treatment Program and the Keystone Youth Treatment Program. So he's been really helpful to the tree staff.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll go ahead and make that motion.
So moved by Lake Charters. Second by Kakiza Haska. Dallas's question, even though he didn't know.
Dion Crawford? Yes. Curtis Bissonette?
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana?
Yes.
Dallas Owen?
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos? Louis Johnson? Tribal Secretary? Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you, Council. Any seconds?
Thank you. The next one is for a contract for Four Directions Counseling, Inc. And what Four Directions Counseling, Inc., it provides supervision towards licensure for Sharon Morey and the Generation Indigenous program. She used him last year and his contract expired, so we renewed it until the end of September 30th. The goal is to get her licensed in the state of South Dakota. She's also going to be licensed in equine therapy, and I have a professional development agreement with her that she has to commit to the tribe for 2 years. And if she should receive her licensure, we might have to extend that to keep her longer, because it costs money too.
Any questions or comments coming from leadership?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
So moved by Dion. Second by Dallas. Question by Curtis.
Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette? Brandon Gypsy Wana?
Yes.
Dallas Owen?
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos? Louis Johnson? Tribal Secretary? Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you. The last one is a contract with Dr. Michael Williams, and this is for clinical supervision for Dr. Norman Johnson under the TREE program and the Native Connections program. Dr. Johnson does not have his South Dakota license, and this will provide him coverage for both him and the clients and the program and the tribe. And this contract will go till September 30th.
Any questions, comments coming from leadership? Dallas?
Was this advertised and were bids put out?
It's a sole source.
Do you have a sole source letter then too?
Yes, I do.
All right,
It
just
was
double
actually-
checking.
Yeah. These are all sole source, and they all have sole source letters.
Okay, I recognize the other two. We've been working on those for a
Yeah.
while. But yeah, this one I was just curious. So as long as you've got a sole source letter and procurement approved then with the sole source letter?
Pardon?
Procurement was okay with your sole source letter?
Yep, I work with them.
All right. I'll motion, Mr. Chairman.
So moved by Tokunawa. Second by Kakiza Haska.
Question?
Question by Haiba.
Dallas Owen?
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos?
Yes.
Louis Johnson? I'm sorry, abstain? Okay. Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette?
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana?
Yes.
Tribal Secretary? Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you, Councilor X.
Thank you.
A motion to approve the Health Department report. Okay, so moved by Kakiza Haska, question, or second by Dion, question by Tokyo.
Curtis Bissonette? Brandon Gypsy-Wana?
Yes.
Dallas Owen?
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos? Louis Johnson? Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Tribal Secretary? Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Like I told you yesterday, I'm getting to tell you when you guys are ready to make those motions, like Junior Kirk, and he wets his whistle and he does it. Dallas, he asked those pertinent questions and he lifts up his finger like he's gonna shoot it and he throws out his motion. Fish and wildlife, you're up there. Realty, you're after.
Good morning, everyone. The first council request I have is in regards to a equip fence project material purchase. The 3 quotes have been received and approved through procurement and sent out to each of you. The requesting approval for the vendor that we are recommending is Whetstone Ag Suppliers. They are the lowest. The funding source would be 804-00, which is our USDA funds, as it's an EQIP project funded by them, an amount of $20,412.85.
Any questions or comments coming from leadership before I ask for a motion? If no questions or comments, there's a motion to approve.
Motion.
So moved by Kakiza Haska. Second by Yagata. Question by Buffalo, or Dion.
Curtis Bissonette?
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy-Wana?
Yes.
Dallas Owen?
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos? Louis Johnson? Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Tribal Secretary? Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you. The next one is the, we had great discussion on this at roundtable. It's the amendments to the industrial hemp plan that was submitted previously to USDA. So all the amendments have been made in regards to the final rule. Kimberly Craven with the legal department made all the necessary revisions so that we're in compliance with the final rule, which took effect March 22nd of this year. And then the hemp plan has been amended, or kind of created. It wasn't quite attached there. And I sent that out to all of you too. Hope you had a chance to review it. And it's just, it's 8, it just covers the 8 required provisions, the key provisions in regards to formulating our regulatory department. So if we could get a motion to approve those revisions, I'm hoping you had a chance to look at it, but actually what's really been changed in there is, like I said, just in regards to the new final rule that was released. If you want a little more discussion on that, I can go into it, but I think we had a lengthy discussion at the round table, so if we could get a motion to approve the amendments, we could get those submitted to USDA and get approval for the chairman's signature certifying this
Is there
new plan.
moved by Lake Traverse,
Second.
second by Long Hollow. Question by Madam Secretary.
Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette?
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy-Wana?
Yes.
Dallas Owen?
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos?
Yes.
Louis Johnson? Tribal Secretary? Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you. That's all I've had and all I have today, unless there's any questions for me.
Thank you, Charlene. Motion to approve the Fish and Wildlife report.
So move.
So moved by Kakiza Haska, second by Lake Traverse. Question, any swim?
Curtis Bissonette?
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy-Wana?
Yes.
Dallas Owen?
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos?
Yes.
Louis Johnson? Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Tribal Secretary? Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlene. I'm gonna, at this time, I'm gonna call Realty. Mark Van Norman's on a schedule, but if he's running late, I'm gonna be calling planning to come in.
Morning, Tribal Council. I have 6 action items. Action item number 6, we have a roundtable scheduled with you guys next Friday. I think we can table that till then. There's a lot to discuss on those 2 land offers, so we'll just save that for next Friday. Okay, action item 1 through 3 have went through RPC. Dion can confirm that. It's a Buffalo Lake use permit renewal. They're currently using the property still for their business. So we need that approved for renewal. And then we got a home site lease for Marlis Danley. It went through the clearances, soil's good, natural resources, TIPO clearances are all good. RPC approved for the home site. The next one's a home site for Randall White. Same thing, soils are good, clearances are good. It's a suitable home site. RPC did clear that. Action item number 4 is a right-of-way pathway project for TZ. Cliff Eberhardt's heading up this project. He needs this right-of-way cleared by the council with the signature authority from the chairman. Get that approved, and he can start on that project right away. Action item number 4 is one that was approved last year, July 23rd. It allows me to negotiate and provide consent on VI airship land leases for SWO undivided interest. The chairman did bring something similar to you guys earlier this year. The motion wasn't clearly defined, so BIA wouldn't recognize it. This just creates a better business process for myself and for the executive offices. Every October, farmers flood in here to do the negotiations for the airship land leases. I work with them every day. It allows me to stay actively involved on the BIA side of leasing. So with your approval, I'd like to continue to stay involved within that leasing process. And action item number 6, I said we'll table till next Friday when we have a roundtable. We'll do the COBEL first, and then after that, I can probably have the guys come and we can sit down and just kind of negotiate and fill out these land offers. I do have a funding identified, but I'm not comfortable disclosing that on the air, so I'll save that for the meeting. But yeah, that's it, quick in a nutshell. If you have any questions, let me know.
Any questions or comments come from leadership before I ask for motions on each one of them? Dion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just on the first page of the use permit, his,
Oh, yeah, I can definitely.
maybe use his big boy name.
Yes, definitely. I'll make it.
That was the only thing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make that motion to accept
Motion,
Buffalo Lake use permit.
motion moved by Dion. Yes. Second by Curtis,
Which one was he asking?
number 1.
No, to be tabled, for roundtable. Number 6.
Question by Tokenoma.
Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana,
Yes.
Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos. Yes. Louis Johnson. Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Is there a motion to approve the home site lease for Marlis Danley presented by Jerry Eastman? So moved by Dion,
Second.
second by Curtis. Question by Dallas.
Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana,
Yes.
Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos. Yes. Louis Johnson. Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Members of council, is there a motion to approve the home site lease for Randall White presented by Jerry Eastman?
So move.
So moved by Curtis, second by Dallas. Question by Madam Secretary.
Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana,
Yes.
Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos.
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Members of council, is there a motion to approve the right-of-way TZ Pathway project presented by Jerry Eastman? So moved by Tokonoma, second by Kakiza Haska. Question, Buffalo Lake.
Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos.
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette. Brandon Gypsy Wana.
Yes.
Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Members of council, is there a motion to approve the negotiation consent hardship land presented by Jerry Eastman, our fifth and final action item? So moved by Curtis. Second by Susie. Question by Louis.
Curtis Bissonette. Brandon Gypsy-Wana.
Yes.
Dallas Owen.
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos. Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you, Council Execs. Anything?
Thank you. Nope, thank you, tribal council.
Thank you, Jerry. Keep up the good work over there. The motion to approve the tribal realty report. Motion moved by Curtis, second by Tokanawa, question by Lake Travers.
Curtis Bissonette. Brandon Gypsy-Wana.
Yes.
Dallas Owen.
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos. Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you, Council and Execs. If Mark's not available right now, I know he's on his way, but is planning available along with REB? RPC, I mean? You know, my numbers. And to our listening audience out there, if you see Junior Kirk, can you let him know that we have council?
Mark,
Thank you.
Can you make it? They're ready. They're kind of open now. Okay. Matt needs about 5 minutes.
Okay, is their office available? Yes.
Do you guys have an open minute? If you're waiting, can I ask something?
Can you come forward, Tammy, please? Can you ask your 5-minute question, please?
I promise it'll be fast. Last night I posted a video and some photos of the tribal cemetery up above. And, you know, a lot of people, I think, don't know that it exists. And so we were in a discussion with the Ptah-Chantewi and the Kit Fox about possibly naming it and doing a dedication, because our office is continually contacted when people are wanting to bury their loved ones. And we only, with Ptah-Chantewi and Kit Fox, take care of the traditional grounds there. I know Myrna knows and understands, you know, what our obligations are with that. It was built with certain expectations and instructions, but people do need, you know, and it's completely open, it's very beautiful, so just wanting to throw that out there. It's something that we're hoping to have some discussion on in the near future, because we do have some people that have contacted us.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, and I just want to, because Mr. Messis is here, is it how, I think I was like 11 or 12 when we went to Washington to that first repatriation. I went with my grandma, and you were there. I remember very clearly. Mr. Messis was one of the Kit Fox that assisted with that. And so I think, you know, there's people that are still, I know that you guys we're getting ready for the memorial, and maybe that would be a good time to do a dedication. So I don't know if you could just write something up and maybe like because this is your area, maybe do like a little plan or something, and I know we would probably
I'm sorry,
approve that.
what I'm referring to isn't the traditional burial grounds and a dedication for that cemetery.
Okay.
It's the new one that's right up above, I don't know what direction I'm at now. No, it's just right, Alva had created that some years back. I'm trying to think of who, Mr. Anderson has a house there. It's all fenced off. Right here. Yep, yep,
Okay.
beautiful.
Susie has a question for you, Tamara.
Okay, would there be any charge for people to bury their relatives there?
Mr. Chairman, it isn't our responsibility, or it isn't under our authority as THPO or Pate Chantewi and Kit Fox. Our responsibilities are only, for the traditional burial grounds. So that cemetery there, it belongs to the tribe. I don't know a lot about the infrastructure within the tribe for it, but, and I don't believe anybody has been buried there yet. But somebody else must know. I don't know. I'm sorry?
Dallas, he said he's zoomed in on your picture, so he's, fresh earth moves, so he said nobody buries up there.
Okay.
That's fine.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
With that, I'm going to call on Dr. Johnson, since you are here.
Thank you, Council.
Remember, Dr. Johnson, I don't want to rush you, but we have to be done at noon. We got a ICWA conference that happening in Sioux, and I know you like to share your thunder, but this action item's only, please.
Okay, I really only have one action item on here. Well, actually two, because I need to know about internet for summer. But approval of the tobacco grant. I provided written copies of the budget and the award letter to each one of you. And I need approval for that to go through the process.
Any questions or comments from leadership? Dr. Johnson, which one you want to move on first?
The tobacco grant, the budget.
If there's no further questions, I'm going to ask for a motion. So moved by Tokunawa.
Second.
Second by Kakiza Haska. Question. Lake Traverse.
Dallas Owen? Yes. Leah Amos? Yes. Louis Johnson? Yes. Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette? Yes. Brandon Gypsy Wana?
Yes.
Tribal Secretary? Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Chairman, I'd like to know about the internet for the summer. I do believe there's still, we're running off the original budget that was allocated to us for internet, and there still is some funding in there. Can I open it up for those students that are attending summer school?
Yeah.
Really fast. So, the last school board meeting I was at, they said that they're only going to have a few students, allowing a few students to attend summer school. Have they told you, has Tia Spazina told you those numbers?
No, the board meeting is this coming Tuesday. So, no, I have not.
So what are we looking, what are we looking at as far as, how that'll be administered? Because I think when and I don't have that report with me, I have it in my office, but I don't think we have much money left in that line item. That would be a...
Yep. And I'll stay within the budget. There's not going to be that many students, I know, but, so I'll stay within that budget.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
So moved by Lake Traverse. Second by Kakiza Haska. Question by Madam Secretary.
So Dion, you want to, just to use the remaining internet funds for summer school students? Is that kind of what we're getting at?
That sounds fine.
Okay. Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette?
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana?
Yes.
Dallas Owen?
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos?
Yes.
Louis Johnson? Tribal Secretary? Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
And then you can, pretty much everything else is FYI on there, but know that the honoring of the student for 14 years of perfect attendance is, I do have a quilt for that student, and it will be Monday night at System Public School. They do not know of any student that has ever accomplished this feat. And that will be, we will honor him with a star blanket, so chairman or any of the council or executives that can come and attend that. It's at 6:30 at the Performing Arts Center at Sisseton, and that would be Wakaya Najee Birch, and his mom is Carolyn Souls and the late Corbin Birch. And so he has accomplished 14 years of, and when I say 14 years, I'm talking preschool, kindergarten, and then first through high school with no tardies, no attendance, no missing, anything. He's got absolutely perfect attendance for 14 years. So I do have a star blanket, and I will honor. So I've talked to the high school principal, and they're going to allow me some time to do that during the regular presentation. And so this is the first time we're going to be allowed to do this. Also, another accolade for, and I'm sorry, Chairman, another accolade is that Wabe has actually allowed a drum inside the graduation ceremony. So that's an awesome thing for Indian education. And with that, I sure hope that I can see some of you at the honoring of him at 6:30. And it's the regular attendance awards, so there's going to be all of the awards are going to go.
And also, too, can you share some good news about the North Dakota Senate Bill 2304, please?
I will. And so, which is a huge thing. The chairman and Louis Johnson and myself, we all attended it was a 2-day workshop up there in Bismarck, and we celebrated the passing of through their legislative, it was 3 changes in the education law for North Dakota. And South Dakota, our System Wapton is a North Dakota tribe. And so for these 3 little changes, it had to do with teaching Indian history in the actual core content of there, because nowhere else does it say anything. Montana is Indian education for all, so you see it pervasive. This is the first move for North Dakota to have something like this. So they have to teach in the elementary, the middle, and high school, and in order to graduate, they have to take a unit of Indian history. So this is huge, and accolades, and we're very thankful, and all eyes were upon North Dakota, and it was nice to have that honoring. I know the chairman did go up and was able to see the apology next, so that's awesome. So I do want to share those accolades with you all.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson, for being there. Appreciate it. Motion to approve the education report. The move by Topinoa, second by Carvers. Question by Langhal.
Dallas Owen.
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos.
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette. Brandon Gypsy-Wana.
Yes.
Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
Thank you, Council. I do want you to know that I'm watching what's going on with the 1776 report and the 1619 report responded from the Times. Apparently, there's a lot of hoopla going on about in D.C., and South Dakota is responding back and forth, the governor. And so it's real interesting about teaching race relations and things like that in schools right now. So at another point in time when you have more time, I'd be willing to sit down with you and really talk about what that is and how it affects us.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That was one of the things I wanted to visit with you about. I saw the governor made a comment about, just made a comment like we would expect from our governor. And so I hope that in the near future we can sit down and start to address that and really take a stand on that, because I think that those issues, the more education that we provide to non-Indian individuals in our state through our school system. And that's why I'm asking to advocate for that, because then the better relationship we can have with them. And so this is a benefit for us as a tribe, but when our kids get to be, you know, in these positions, that they will have an easier time dealing with their non-Indian counterparts. So I really encourage, you know, you and Madam Secretary to lead the charge on that, and if there's, you know, a way that I can, at least myself, assist with that, I'm happy to help. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Bill LaRock. Thank you, Bill. Timer?
Maybe within 40, 45 minutes, just because
I just want to respond that I have a draft, some draft legislation being prepared for the mandating of the Ochete Shakoi essentials. And that was something that was taken and noted in Dr. Johnson's testimony over the past few years within Indian education. And it is possible that with her advice, and she and I have talked in the past about some of these things, that if we want to add on to it, we can certainly do that. But that would be the bill, which is, you know, I mean, we've already done such great progress in South Dakota on that project, that it's a shame that it's not mandated to use it. Thank you.
Thank you, Timer. Thank you, Dr. Johnson. With that, I'm going to call up Matt and also RPC.
Yeah, so they're actually trying to get done before.
Chairman, if I may? Chairman, Council, thank you for allowing us to be here as part of the planning department report. And keeping up with the traditions. Thank you. In keeping up with the traditions of our tribe, years ago, whenever the departments came and sat at this table before council, so did the ex officio. So we had asked our ex officio to join us here at this time, and she graciously did. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have 6 action items, procedural motions for your consideration. The first one is just a formal acceptance to the BIA for the additional $6 million with respect to the jail project. The supporting documentation is on the first page in that attachment.
On the number 1 on his action item, motion made by Lake Traverse. Is there a second? Second by Longhala. Question, Buffalo Lake.
Well, which motion are we doing? Number 1? Yes.
Dallas Owen,
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos, Louis Johnson, Dion Crawford, Tribal Secretary, Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Go ahead, Matt. I'm going on to number 2.
Yes, number 2 is the letter that we have to submit to do the drawdown of the pay advance. And the second attachment is a draft of that letter. We'll put it onto the tribal chairman's letterhead and then sign and submit to the BIA.
Any questions or comment coming from leadership for action item 2? Curtis, floor is yours.
I just have one comment. So, so since they're asking for this drawdown, are we ready to build then?
We'll be ready. We're getting closer. Yeah, we still have a
Ready?
contract. Yeah. Yeah, we're getting closer.
Okay. So move, Mr. Chairman.
So moved by Longhala. Second by Tokanoa for action item number 2. Question by Buffalo Lake.
Curtis Bissonette. Excuse me. Brennan Gypsy-Wana.
Yes.
Dallas Owen.
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos.
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
The third motion here is these were funds that were spent out of a retainer for economic development in 2020. However, the costs associated with this motion were in response to the pandemic. So I'm asking for council if I can get a reimbursement back to recover these funds that were spent in response to the pandemic.
Any questions or comment coming from leadership or execs?
Yeah.
The facts and circumstances are occurred before I became planning director, but Avison Legal was a firm retained in, I think, 2020, the beginning of 2020, for economic development purposes. Council approved an amendment to that contract to allow Avison Legal to do CARES Act related legal services. So the purpose of the request here is to ask council's consideration if it would be permissible, which is it's permissible to reimburse the funds that were originally used and intended for economic development to come back to the planning department's budget. If not, we can table it. I mean,
I'll make that motion. It's replenishing the retainer.
I understand, but I still got the floor here.
Motion?
I didn't relinquish.
Oh. Okay,
I'll
what do you-
withdraw until he's done.
And so I just want, just again, to make it straight, money was taken from the planning department in lieu for the coronavirus funds?
so the issue here is not that money was taken, it's that funds were used for economic development funds were used to pay COVID-related expenses. The purpose of this motion is to reimburse the use of those funds to come back to planning, to replenish the retainer.
Go ahead, Madam Secretary.
Matt, was that the former director?
Yes. Yep, this was from the former director.
Okay, because I think at that time, Avison Legal or Law was included in that resolution, weren't they? I thought they were included in that resolution. But I don't know why economic development funds were used to pay Avison at that time. But I think we need some clarification on this motion.
Mhm.
If we could just table it,
Sure.
I would recommend tabling it until we can clarify that. But I'm all for giving your money back. It's just, we need to make sure we have it to give back.
Right. Sure. I understand.
Thank you.
Okay, members of council, any execs, your action item number 3 will be tabled. Going on to number 4.
Number 4 is, SWO is one of the members of the North Dakota Native American Torah Alliance. So the purpose of this motion is to pay our membership fees, which is a $5,000 fee.
Any questions or comments coming from leadership? Go ahead, Dallas.
Have we been missing out on any of the other years for membership, or?
Yeah, Tammy St. John knows more about it than I do. She's on board.
We have actually been, the project itself with George Washington University, as well as the state of North Dakota, is very precedent-setting. We work with IANTA, which is the National Native American Tourism Organization, and we really are the only ones in that have been identified that are doing this. Very progressive. We have been working for the past at least 4 years solid in the development of the board and moving forward. So I can say for sure 4 years I haven't been able to get attention enough through planning until Mr. Thompson to be able to get tribal commitment to this.
All right, thank you.
Anything else coming from leadership or clarification for number 4? Haipa.
Oh, I would just wanted a quick summary of what some of the benefits we have or received thus far.
Right. In the email I responded to yesterday, I attached it all. It's a pretty cool board. It's cooperative. It's recreation, tourism, and it's economic development. And so it's an opportunity to have conversations with other tribes. And I think that's the real value, building alliances.
So, I mean, that was a lot of stuff to read through, so I didn't get to break it down as much as I've wanted to, so I'd like to request that you send these, well in advance, like the other reports and stuff that we receive. That's all. Thank you.
Motion by Madam Secretary to approve number 4. Second by Tokanawa. Question by Buffalo Lake.
Tribal Secretary, Curtis Bissonette. Brandon Gypsywana. Dallas Owen.
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos. Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you, Council and execs.
This 5th motion is to authorize the chairman and the executives to submit the pertinent information onto the U.S. Treasury portal.
Any questions or comments coming from leadership? If no, okay. Moved by Tokanawa. Second by Buffalo Lake. Question by Iagapta.
Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos. Yes. Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette. Brandon Gypsywana.
Yes.
Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you, Council and execs. Went on to our last one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is an honor to be able to work with planning and Planning Director Thompson in this next project. This was something as Tribal Archives, I've been in front of this body for many times, many years in wanting to move the archives forward and to find funding. This motion is to approve the draft resolution, authorization of submission of grant application to the National Endowment for the Humanities in response to the American Rescue Plan, Humanities Organization solicitation to support project as authorized under the Preservation and Access Purpose Area. as presented by Planning Director.
Any questions or comments coming from leadership? Go ahead, Dion, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to say that I know that this has been, getting an actual archives. Getting an actual archives has been a dream for a long time, not only for this administration, but several administrations back. And I had a discussion, talked with my uncle about this dream. And so I have to say, thank you for just continuing to work at this and move forward. I know that there's been roadblocks over the years, but, try again and we will prevail. So thank you for that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dion. I'm going to turn the floor over to Kakiza Haska.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is there a match to this grant?
No.
No match? I'll make a motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
So moved by Long Hollow. Second by Buffalo Lake. Question by Tokinawa.
Curtis Bissonnette?
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy-Wana?
No, I have some more questions.
Dallas Owen? A. Lydia Amos? Louis Johnson? Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Tribal Secretary? Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
I apologize to Haipa. I just noticed her hand was over there, so my apologies. Do you have any questions, though? Anything else now?
Nope. Thank you.
Motion to approve
Motion
planning.
to approve the planning and,
Mr. Chairman, we do have, for RPC,
oh,
we'd like to share some of the motions that we have been making that would, at least will be in your hands, what we brought to the table.
see that little white device, either the mic or that little white that device beside you? Either one.
Well, our old agency commissioner is passing out. I wanted to take a moment to commend our planning director. When I was writing, doing some writing for one of our former planning directors, when I was having those conversations, one of the things that became very apparent is that RPC, the planning department, and tribal council all worked hand in hand. And those collaborative efforts are what created Agency Village, this building. Those collaborative efforts is what developed a great part of our reservation. And so my hope and my dream is to rejuvenate those relationships. And so I just want to say that Matthew, through his diligent hard work on the jail application, even with the roadblocks, even some of those issues that came up during those times, was the one who wrote the documents, who did the application for that jail. And I don't ever want, myself, I don't ever want to go without saying Wopida for those things. So I really want to commend our planning director for completing that application, because not only is it's a jail, this strengthens our sovereignty as a nation. And I just want to recognize you, Matthew, for that piece of it, because that's a very, very important part of our sovereignty and who we are and how we move forward as a nation, as an Oyate. So I wanted to say that much, and then I will now turn it over to Angie, who is the Vice Chair of RPC. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council. I just wanted to share some of the motions that were made by by RPC. The first one was in December. We're just going to go back there. The one that we had concerns about, and that we addressed. Everybody knows the history of what RPC has gone through the last year. And as a result of that, we came into motion number 2. And just to let the council know that this is a motion that was made by council, made by RPC. We have a lot of new members on RPC right now, and I did let them know that I was presenting this to you. Put it in your guys' hands, whatever you guys want to do with it, but just to let you know, RPC did come in with this. First of all, I really, really want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing RPC to get back on board and to be the voice of our districts. Also, I'd like to take this time to recognize, again, Matt Thompson and Dion Crawford for their efforts in bringing this tradition back to the table, back to our leadership. Because this is the way all boards, committees, and commissions are supposed to be, working hand in hand, side by side. And I really appreciate this because we've gone through some rough times. Many of you know what we've gone through, and we appreciate your support. We really do. One of the motions that RPC made on February 10th of this year was that, and we can provide you copies of this, I just wanted that one there for you. We will provide copies of these, that any activities involving SWO land be overseen by our tribal realty department and not the SWO Department of Transportation. And that was passed. And I just have to point this out. I know it's mute and everything, but we had a lot of motions on the store. Another one that was on February 15th of this year was to affirm and reinforce the Tribal Constitution, Article 1, Section 1, which states that the chairman is solely authorized and responsible for overseeing the tribe's business activities. That was passed. And those are pretty much, everything else is pretty much moot right now. But the ones we did make last night, excuse me, is this something that you wanted to bring, what we were discussing last night? What council should be aware of regarding Dakota Bank? Okay. One of the things we came in last night was that there'd be a roundtable with Great Western, RPC Council, DCA, hopefully on the 18th, 19th. But it sounds like the 20th is the earliest that they can be here. The second one is that we had a presentation by Renville and Company regarding the CARES Act closeout and the ARPA technical assistance. Now this one did have opposition from Enemy Swim and Big Coulee. I happened to make the motion to see if any SWO tribal member was able to provide the service for our tribe. And if there was none, that we sole source it. Now that's not trying to circumvent the process or the procurement policy. We're trying to shorten the time. If we do RFP right now, we need to know we need a plan, like in a couple weeks. Now if we could, I highly advocate for employing our own people. We have many qualified people out there, many qualified businesses out there that have in the past been kicked to the curb because of personal opinion, because they didn't like somebody's family, they didn't like their family, and that has to stop. We need to support our own tribal members and our own tribal businesses. I will always stand on that. And this is why I went solely with SWO, because we have people capable of providing these. If we can find somebody else that has SWO credentials, let's do an RFP. But if not, let's not waste time. Let's move forward with this because we need this technical assistance right now. So that, I know you have, and I'm not trying to, I advocate following the process. I always do. I stand on that. But we are in a time right now where I just seen, procurement policy was back in October. These contracts that are coming before you now, October, we don't have that luxury of that time on us, on our side anymore, not with this coming down. So that's the reason why, and it did pass, but I just wanted to let you know there was opposition. And we also went on record that, to recommend that council approve SWO Fuel Inc. to purchase the 3 30,000-gallon tanks, one which would go up to Enemy Swim and 2 would be down here in Sisseton. And that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Any questions or comments? Thank you, Ms. Johnson, for coming up, representing RPC as a vice chair. As in the past, I sat on same board as you were in the past, and at that time, we worked hand in hand with the planning department. And at the time, that voice was given an opportunity in the past. And so I know when I came in too, I wanted the same thing. Everybody open to the table. Everybody has that voice. And when we have that voice as a unity, we all move forward in a good way. And I remember as a young person, as a tribal secretary, I learned from the elder ones. I listened and I heard them. The voices of Terry Larson, Tiny Perko, Jake Thompson, Mike Salvage, Jerry Flute, the late Jerry Flute, and Virginia Max. So I had to learn quick. And I commend them for answering, putting me up there, and I had to answer them, and I had to answer those questions from the older ones that have been in the politics for years. So I learned quick from them, so I commend that. And I bring that to my leadership now. And I try to bring everybody to the table because there's lots of good things that are happening in our community versus what the negative stuff we hear out there. And I'm not the person to bash anybody. I'm not that person. I just want to move forward and work my best with the leadership. And as everybody knows, it's not me. And when the council's available, when the cameras are on, I try to bring everybody to the table and everybody, we share that. We share that responsibility together. Because I can't do everything. We all have our own gifts in this leadership. So we all bring stuff to the table. So like Curdy over there, he brings laughter and many other gifts. So I'm glad he's here, part of this. Even though he's mourning, he lost his brother growing up in Teospazina, but yet he's here and he's that voice too. So many like him. So I tried my best to lead the best way I can for the younger ones that are going to step up to my role, and myself just to step back and watch that happen. So I try my best, just like Dallas, he's coming up, the younger ones that are here. And our elder ones that are at the table here, Madam Secretary, Louis, Susie, we learn from them also too. And when you spoke up, I heard your words, and many like you that stood up and took our oath of office, we heard those, and I heard them, and I take that to my heart. And Madam Secretary has in front of her, and I'm always looking at it too, remember the people. She has that ever since I came in, and she had that ever since she started. So I do my best for that. And I appreciate planning in RPC. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bill? Motion to approve the planning department report. So moved by Dion. Second by Susie. Question by Kakiza Haska.
Dion Crawford. Curtis Bissonette. Brandon Gypsy-Wana. Dallas Owen. A. Lydia Amos. Louis Johnson. Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you, Council. The execs, the DARE office to the table. Sonny's over there. On deck after the DARE office, the transportation department for your action items only, and Head Start and early Head Start after that.
Good morning. I want to revisit the Terrell money that was tabled for a budget. If I'm not mistaken, they allotted 300,000, correct? I mean, which was approved. So we was provided the opportunity to get IHS money through VIA, which is EHS money. So from the master contract, and Steve Gunn was working with VIA and Sarah to strike the language in there because it referred to testing and contact tracing. And as a tribe, we didn't provide that opportunity. So they were striking it, and Mr. Gunn was providing language of mitigating towards COVID so that money would be allowable for our COVID building and some staff for 3 months. And that was $270,000, and they're still working on the language. But I do have bills that are past due. The DARE program has been running on a payroll expense. We have not had a budget since probably December. We've been running on donated resources. I really would like to thank everyone. I mean, from Salvation Army, we receive stuff, FEMA, even the dollar stores donating stuff for our building. EMS has provided stuff. Everything we have received has been donated. We have not purchased a mop or a broom. I mean, and we're doing the best that we can, with what we have. We've reached out, to a lot of people, and they've responded very well, and we really I appreciate the DARE team for the work that they do. This week we had the vaccination event, and we were screeners Monday and Tuesday. We had food boxes donated from the Salvation Army. We got over 1,000 food boxes, and we distributed them yesterday and today. And they're shelf-stable items in there, so they can, and we're working with Gino on that through the food pantry. I really want to highlight, we started a food sovereignty initiative with Charlene. The project took off fast, very fast. Within a week, we were planting a garden. We planted over 100 bushes of elderberries, plums, buffalo berries. I think we have over 100 in the orchard. She was working on getting us choke cherries. We're working on getting cedar, sweetgrass, sage, and there's a high tunnel at the farm across from the connection. We're working. The high tunnel is going to be for Indian medicine. We planted 6 memorial trees for the loved ones that we lost, our tribal members that we lost to COVID. 4 of them are pear trees and 2 of them are peach trees. We plan on putting a pumpkin patch for our families. We're planting the 3 sisters. We're planting potatoes, sweet corn, and I think that's going to be over 12 acres of planting that we're looking at, trying to provide some food for our relatives, because when this pandemic started, that was one of the first things that came to the table was, how do we feed our people? How do we take care of the people that don't have a voice? The ones that are struggling, the ones, and we found them, and you know, with the food distribution that we did from May to August, we did over 1,700 homes in a service area. And we found an average of, 8 to 10 members in a home, multi-generational homes. We found relatives that only got to make a trip to the store once a week, that didn't have running water, didn't have phones, didn't have, so we got to really understand our community in a way that, that how can we help, and assess. We lost a lot of loved ones, a lot of tribal members. Just this week we lost a mother and a son. That's off reservation. There's things that are real and reality of this pandemic and how it affects our community. This budget that we got proposed was from the Taro conversation, and it's at 300,000 right on the dot. I do have past due bills. I got a 3-month budget that we're working with the secretary and her programs on HHS money that's coming from the master contract, and Mr. Gunn's working on the language on that for us. And it looks like it's pretty close to finalization. He's working with IHS out of Aberdeen. And that money will strictly work directly with the building, with the bills for the building. We'll keep that pretty strict on the language on that. This is to help us catch up with the things that we accumulated since roughly around November, December. We have not had a budget, or we have not spent anything since then. And I also wanted to note that we've received so much donated supplies. We took over the SWO building behind I-29 because we have so much supplies. I mean, we have Salvation Army alone gave us 44,000 masks. And when we started, Mr. Pearson, we didn't have a stockpile, and that's something that we would like to create. And we will get that situated, and we will update you once we get everything in one place. And because when the pandemic started, the tribe didn't have a stockpile. We were getting masks from Roberts County. So we've moved pretty far along, So, and yeah.
Go ahead, Deanne has a question for you. Sorry to interrupt. Oh.
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry to cool a fire there, Mr. LeBlanc. So I guess the question's more for Louis as the ex officio for Taro. So my understanding is that they were willing to loan the tribe, and it was with interest of 10%, right? So that would be $330,000 that the tribe would be responsible for paying back. I guess our vice chair isn't here. If we were able to do that, there would have to be a repayment plan and a funding source identified. Of course, we don't have access to that information. So I think that if Mr. Chairman is comfortable making sure that that happens,
Sure.
the repayment plan, I'm comfortable with this budget.
Sure.
So that's my question. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Dan. But Leah, can you move up to the table, because I'm going to ask for a quick update on the IHS that goes with your program, Sonny. Dallas.
So also with this budget too, though, and then this is just for mostly council at this point, but wouldn't we have to rescind the motion that's protecting the TARO funds as it stands? Then that's just
I think that conversation was tabled, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, and the vice chairman was going to create a budget, and they were going to use the, and I would also probably like to include that, that if we're going to get TARO money and TARO money's tribal money, that we put in there that we try to get that reimbursed, and hopefully, you know, and we can submit that monthly with FEMA and EMS, and we can get that back in the vehicle usage, and all the usage of all the equipment should also cover the interest to a certain extent. So, I mean, because, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's included with that should help with that interest.
Thank you, Sonny. I appreciate that.
Jips?
So then, sorry, Mr. Chairman. So that's just kind of where I'm at, though, is if we're going to be using TARO dollars, would that motion technically need to be rescinded? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dallas. I'm going to turn the floor over to Gypsy. Your hand was raised.
Yeah, so my question is, with all the donations that you've received, where's that being tracked for inventory purposes so it's not being used inappropriately for personal use?
Property and supply oversees it, and that's a policy of the tribe. They
Yeah.
have a supply request, so like if a family comes in for a funeral or the school requests product, they go through EMS, and we just wanted to move it out of the building and get it into one place because we have guests coming, and you know, we expected tribal relations. But yes, the process is ran through the policy of the tribe, and property and supply oversees that. And Kylie's been awesome at that. I mean, and the supply request goes through her. We don't really see the inventory or oversee it. We just
deliver it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Leo, if you have a chance, can you do a quick update on with his?
Yeah. Sorry, I don't have a written update, but I can kind of share with you what we've been working on with this. What it is modification number 3 to the master contract, and there is $272,000 for, and it's real clear in the modification. I think we met with the executives on it. It's for testing, mitigation, and containment. So we met with Steve Gunn. We've had several meetings. Sonny was involved in one. And we are having the language rewritten. He has visited with Indian Health Service Legal Counsel, Jim Carberry, and they both studied the CARES Act, or I think it's the CRRSAA, and it's very broad. So before we accept the money and have the chairman sign off on the modification, we want the wording in the modification rewritten to strike out testing, because we don't have the capacity for testing. And both of the attorneys were in agreement that we could use the funds for mitigation and containment for the COVID facility. So we have had a couple of emails into Dan Davis and Ada Fundmaker asking for that modification, where it's at, because we need the funds. We haven't heard back yet. And we also have an intergovernmental memorandum that the secretary has a copy of now. I sent it this morning. And that will explain how we are going to send this $272,000 over to the COVID task force on a monthly basis. It'll be like $91,000 for 3 months. They're going to send us a bill, kind of an itemized statement, and then we'll transfer the $90,000 over to their budget. And then I think it was not this Monday, last Monday, the master contract received their ARPA funds, and there's $625,000 in there towards mitigation and containment. That's a separate modification. That's modification 4. So we're trying to do these separately. As soon as we get modification 3 done, the intergovernmental memorandum signed, then we can start transferring the money over once Sonny's program submits a bill to Sarah Dakota. I hope that's a clear enough update.
Any questions or comments coming from the leadership on the update earlier from Leah? I think oh, go ahead, Madam Secretary. I don't
I-
know if that was a for sure question or not.
I just wanted to say that, so the COVID, the isolation and quarantine facility, COVID facility, has actively sought out funding, which is where Leah in Sarah Dakota came in and assisted with that. And so what Sunny's asking for today is approval on this budget to catch them up, and then when we get that money, then they'll take off with that. So I just wanted to make that clear, I guess.
And it could be a few weeks before we see that those funds come into the master contract. So I know that they need some operating funds. I've heard from several people in the last week that they don't have internet over there yet, and they really need that. But the money isn't here yet, and it won't be here until the chairman signs the modification. And we ask the modification to be rewritten, so.
Gypsy, question? Right, okay. Dia?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I make a motion to approve this budget as presented by Thomas LeBlanc, with the repayment, with the funding source as the Terrell budget, with a repayment plan for $330,000 to be set forth and overseen by the chairman, and to yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You have that motion? Clarification? Okay, I just want to make sure.
Approve the budget for 300,000 from Terrell funds, and then repayment to be 330,000.
Yes.
It'll sound better than that.
Yes. Take the ums out of there, though.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it.
We've got two questions coming from Dallas and Gypsy.
So, I mean, I just said, I think we might have to resend that one motion, protecting the terror monies in order to have access to that. Now, correct me if I'm wrong in the language of that first motion, but it says basically, do not touch the funds. I understand they'll be giving it to us on a loan basis, but I mean, to me, it just seems like a mingle, so I feel like we need to resend that first motion and then accept the second motion that Dion is putting out there. And I'm in agreement with it. I just want to do it that way. Thank you.
Gypsy?
Okay, so, I know we need a budget for the place, but, as I was looking at this, I see that hazard pay is set at, $10 an hour per person. And I don't like that amount because our casino workers get nowhere near that amount. And, and that's where a lot of our funding comes from, so. Can we afford to increase our casino workers' hazard pay up to $10 an hour for each of them? Or can this amount be lowered for them? I mean, we talked about fairness and being fair for everybody and stuff, and that just doesn't seem fair, especially when some of our other frontline workers aren't getting hazard pay either.
Gypsy, are you yielding the floor?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make a comment before, Madam Secretary. I know you're going to grab the mic too, but to be, I know it's going to just be for this, but just for the future reference too, I would like to go on record too for our tribal employees. I know I got law enforcement. Madam Secretary has child protection, and there's other frontline workers too. I just want to make that clear. Go ahead, Madam Secretary.
I believe that the frontline workers are getting the $10 an hour because they are being exposed to the COVID. They've been delivering food since the beginning last March, and they were doing that without the pay. And they're the ones at risk because people are going to be brought into the facility that have COVID. And they're the workers that are there helping them and assisting them and delivering food to these homes where there is somebody exposed or positive. So, in my opinion, all these frontline workers should get that. And like I said, their health is at risk, and they're putting themselves in the front lines to help the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Dion, Dan, Curtis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I think when we start comparing, it's just, that's not a fair comparison, you know, because I know that, you know, like Madam Secretary said, that yes, these staff are going to the homes where people are knowingly infected with COVID. And they've, like she said, they've been doing that for months. On top of that, because they don't have a budget, and just from kind of hearing the stories, and they laugh about it, but yet also hearing outside of here, you know, from other people of the late hours, you know, the on-call phone, getting calls, you know, in the middle of the night, and I was one of the crying people that called them crying, you know, having those issues going into the homes where, you know, there's little children, and some of the things that they've brought to our attention, you know, just the depth of the work and the depth of the compassion that they have, and even transporting people that they knew that were sick to the hospital because they needed it and because there was nobody else to transport. And so I think that those issues, in the Biden plan and the ARPA, they talk about premium pay. I don't know what that means, but I know that these individuals have gone above and beyond buying over-the-counter medications for people, buying seeds for the garden, buying mops, buying paper towels, you know, some of those things. And so they really have gone above and beyond. And so that's why I looked at that, and I just felt that just the health part of it for me would be enough. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Dion. Go ahead, Curtis.
So just getting back to Dallas's question, I guess. I don't think it's necessary that we rescind that motion because Terrell is also offering the $300,000 with a plan of repayment. So it's not like we're taking it and we're not doing anything. I mean, you know, we're not paying it back or we're not replenishing that. So I think we're good there. We really don't have to. If we were taking all of it, I would say yes. Probably have to resend that motion, but we're not. And this is tribal money that is a need right now, and I think we're justifiable in that. So, thank you.
Thank you, Curtis. Louis.
As we all know, we should wait till the vice chair gets here on any of this, because we came in front of Taro for the funds. In their fund, he asked for money for hazard pay and to fund this. And then what she come in a couple days later in front of us, what did she ask for? $510,000. So we should wait till she gets here, see what she came up with. Well, she'll be here today, right? No?
Oh, she's not gonna? I thought she was gonna be a little late, but if that, we could table it.
And she was supposed to work on it and get it to us, you know, and it hasn't happened yet, and then something presents this, and it's leaving out, you know.
We're all gonna be meeting next week anyway.
Yeah, like
Louis,
Tuesday or Wednesday, that'll work.
Since you're the ex officio of Tyrell, I'm gonna go on the recommendation to table it until next week, because we're all gonna be at the table 17th, 18th, and 19th anyway. So, Sunny? Okay, thank you.
And I think the 510,000 that was presented by the vice chairman had both of it. We split it up. The HHS over here takes part of that, and then this was to, so that 510, you know, we fit in a 3-month budget. Now we split it up between the two, so that's why the numbers are different. And we were just trying to get caught up, and I'm okay with getting it tabled. We've been tabled since October. I mean, we'll just keep running on donated resources, which is okay. I mean, till we do get it together. And the vice chairman is the one that recommended that the hazard be in here. And hazard was discussed that, and the way it is written in the CARES Act, that you can't pay it across the board. It was also the stipulations of how to receive that was in the resolution form that was presented back, you know, by Mr. Gunn. So that policy and procedure is also written in the resolution, you know, so, yeah, we'll table it again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I apologize for that, tabling that. Was there something that you needed a motion today, though, for something for the chairman, authorizing the chairman for something? Wasn't there? No? Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr.
With
Chairman.
that, council, we got our managers that are ready to do the action reports. We got 3 of them here, but this time, can we take a 7-minute break for Chundi? I can smoke, but bathroom break. And, for you smokers, your Chundi break, please. We should wrap up by noon. We're going moving into a transportation report, and after that, we got the Head Start, early Head Start, and after that, we're going to go into enrollment office. So go ahead, Cliff.
Okay, I passed around, good morning or good afternoon, Tribal Council. Thank you for the time today. Passed around the cover sheet and I emailed out the report and documents last night. So, number one, SWST Transit Program, bus purchase documents. SWO DOT working with the SWO Procurement Office in the process of purchasing 2 new transit buses to be able to expand transit services to all 7 districts of Lake Traverse Reservation. Harlow Bus Sales, Inc. will be equipping the buses for delivery. So motion number 1 would be to approve the purchase agreement and notice to proceed for the purchase of 2 new transit buses for the SWST Transit Program and SWO Travel Chairman Delbert Hopkins Jr. signature authority on all documents.
Any questions or comment coming from leadership or motion number 1? So moved by Tokunawa. Second by Iagapta. Question by Buffalo Lake.
Dallas Owen,
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos. Excuse me. Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy-Wana.
Yes.
Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Okay, so then we move on to number 2, the SWO DOT consultant planning documents. The inventory updates to be completed by the SWO DOT with the assistance of the contracted consultant KLJ. BIA Route 2, Big Coulee Road amendment to the construction monitoring task order. So suggested motion number 2 to approve the inventory update task order with supporting SWO DOT federal TTP budget and amendment 2, the BIA Route 2 task order and supporting SWO DOT federal TTP budget modification and Tribal Chairman Delbert Hopkins Jr. signature authority.
Before I ask you to move that motion, any questions or comments coming from leadership?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
So moved by Kakiza Haska. Second by Tokunawa. Question, Buffalo Lake.
Curtis Bissonette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy-Wana.
Yes.
Dallas Owen.
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos. Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford. Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you, Council and Execs. Anything else, Cliff?
That's my action items.
Thank you.
I do have a equipment purchase request out there. I've talked to a lot of the council, and I just want to open this up for discussion. It's for the Travel Roads Program. The proposal is in regards to the deficiencies of the SWO Travel Roads Program, the snow removal and heavy equipment. So, I mean, just for discussion, and if anybody had any questions, I would always be available for discussion. You could just give me a call or email me, and I'll come on down and we can talk about it. But other than that, I appreciate your time today.
You keep up that good work out there, Cliff, for representing us. Motion to approve the Department of Transportation report. So moved by Tokunawa. Second by Iagapta.
Question.
Question by Haipa.
Dallas Owen.
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos. Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford. Curtis Bissonette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy-Wana.
Yes.
Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thanks, Cliff.
Thank you.
Right now, I'm going to do the Head Start, early Head Start with a quick one. Whenever you're ready.
Good morning, Council and Executives. I have a few motions for you. First one, motion to approve the Head Start Finance Report for April. These reports were sent to you all last week on paper in your offices. So,
Any questions or comments regarding that financial report? I know I put mine back there, and I know you gave me one. No questions. Is there a motion to approve that financial report? So moved by Tokunawa.
Second.
Second by Kakiza Haska. If there's no question, I'm going to call for a vote.
Dallas Owen?
Yes.
Lydia Amos?
Yes.
Louis Johnson? Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Curtis Bissonnette?
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy-Wana?
Yes.
Tribal Secretary? Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
the second one, a motion to approve the attendance report for April.
Any questions or comments from leadership for that attendance report? So moved by Lake Traverse. Second, Buffalo Lake. Question, Yagapta.
Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Curtis Bissonnette?
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy-Wana?
Yes.
Dallas Owen?
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos?
Yes.
Louis Johnson? Tribal Secretary? Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Next one is a motion to approve our food reimbursement report for April.
Any questions or comments coming from council or the execs? No questions. Move to accept.
Oh, Mr.
Buffalo
Chairman.
Lake. Second, Tokunawa.
Question.
Question by Long Hollow.
Louis Johnson?
Yes.
Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Curtis Bissonnette?
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy-Wana?
Yes.
Dallas Owen?
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos?
Yes.
Tribal Secretary? Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Next motion is to approve our policy council report for April.
I know she sent that out, so if you had a chance to look at that, any questions on the policies that she handed out? If there is no questions coming from leadership, is a motion to approve. Approved by Lake Traverse. Second by Yagapta. Question, Emily Swim.
Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Curtis Bissonnette? Brandon Gypsy-Wana?
Yes.
Dallas Owen?
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos?
Yes.
Louis Johnson? Tribal Secretary? Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
And then also, a motion to approve our Menards estimate for $8,374.98 for bathroom upgrades. So it'll be new toilets and sinks for our little ones.
Any questions? Leadership. Dallas.
I think I missed that one. As long as you've gone through procurement then,
Yes, we went through procurement.
I'll motion.
Motion moved by Tokunawa. Second by Lake Traverse. Question, Buffalo Lake.
Dallas Owen?
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos? Louis Johnson? Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Curtis Bissonnette?
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy-Wana?
Yes.
Tribal Secretary? Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
I actually have one more motion. There's a possibility that we might not get our carryover request approved by the Office of Head Start. So we would like to apply for the American Rescue Plan for $232,000 and $131. $232,131.
He turned red when she said that. Wicked, which one?
Huh?
Go ahead, Dion.
Is it what? Oh, yes, it's from the Office of Head Start, American Rescue Plan. It's, no, there's a waiver.
Nice.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So that would be like application outside of
It's, the office, the Head Start program was awarded, I believe, $1 million.
Yeah.
And so we have a chance to apply for a part of that $1 million. And so our portion will be for $232,000.
Oh, okay, so you need a motion from us approving the application?
Just to apply for the application.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve the Lexi Fancher Lincoln to the Head Start Director to initiate the application for funding through Head Start and. No? Yes?
I think.
Motion moved by Lake Trappers, but before I ask for a second, can I get a clarification if you got it?
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
Okay, got it?
Will you need the chairman's signature on the application?
I don't think, yes, I think so,
Okay.
Or just add it.
just in case. I think so.
Second by Kakiza Haska. Question by Tokunawa.
Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy-Wana,
Yes.
Dallas Owen,
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson, Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you, everyone. I just wanted to say that the paper that was handed out was based off of our community assessments 2 years ago. Last year, we were not able to do a community assessment due to COVID, so we will begin our community assessments this summer, June through August, and we want to do everywhere, so we'll probably see you guys at the store and other places. So that was just the results from it. We did update new questions, so we'll have more information, and we hopefully will start doing a Head Start data book based off of our school readiness goals, our individual assessments, our community assessments, and parent questionnaires, and our intake from parents. So we'll hopefully have data start collecting and showing the data from Head Start in these yearly books. So, all right, thank you, everyone.
Motion to approve the Head Start, early Head Start report. Motion moved by Emily Swim. Second by Yagapta. Question. I'm sorry, all I heard is
Dallas Owen,
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson, Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette, Brandon Gypsy-Wana,
Yes.
Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
All right, I'm going to call on our elder for enrollment office report. It's been a while, Zalma, so whenever you're ready, just make sure your mic is on because we've got a listening audience up there.
Pitamayo. I have 48 applications that were submitted for enrollment. And on Exhibit A, we have 10 under Article 2, Section 1E. And these are Alani Elizabeth Argueta, Ali Sue Contreras, Panagita Omashta, we Humbada Eastman, Dustin John German Jr., Alea Ray McConnell, Declan John Torgerson, Delilah Renee Ann Torgerson, Penny Louise Tucker, Christina Angelito Juana, Orion Amias Troy Wilkie. And under Exhibit B, we have 21 applicants under Article 2, Section 1G. And these are Briley Ann Beadham, Leonidas Kai Blue, Veda Elois Josephine Burnett, Zania L. Star Colton, Samuel D. Eagle, Iroquois Catherine Falbaum, Maverick, they taught me how to say it, but I forgot. Bodie, Kenneth Flute, Jaya Ember Lynn Keeble, and that's how they spelled Lynn. Kinley Brooke Kirsteins, Devin Michael Ming, Leo Milo Montano, Michael Dela Cruz Ojeda, Karma Lee, Joel Quinn, Keanu James Alexander Quinn, Aiden Paul Rabbit, That's a minor. I put an asterisk there because he was relinquished from Crow Creek. Leanna Marie Red Buffalo, Jordan Henry Rain Counter, Grayson Way Robertson, Aiden Allen John Simon, Ania Leah Aubrey Joe Simon, Tate Anna Hiaya Wee Zatina. And under Exhibit C, we have 17 applicants: Luella Diane Alt, Oliver Gary Alt, Olivia Irene Evelyn Alt, Madison Elizabeth Black, Brighton Javon Crawford, Callan Xavier Crawford, Angela Lacey Dakota, Reverie Lynn Dakota, Braxton Stephen James Grant, Darren Albert Jones, Naim Donovan Dallas Keeble, Naleka Rose Medina, Caius Lee Renville, Azaria Gracelyn Tyndall, Bailey Edith Whiteman, Jalen Irene Wilson, Beatrix Artis Wolf. And these are my exhibits.
Mr. Chairman, I make
Motion.
a motion to accept enrollment for these individuals as presented by the enrollment manager, Zelma Fluke.
Motion. Exhibit A.
Exhibit A. Oh, just Exhibit A?
Yes.
We got it in separate. That's right.
Individual.
Exhibit
Motion moved by Lake Traverse, second by Long Hollow. Question by Buffalo Lake.
Dion Crawford,
A. Yes.
Curtis Bissonette, Brandon Gypsy Wana,
Yes.
Dallas Owen,
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson, Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you, Council and execs. Moved by Long Hollow to accept Exhibit B. Second by Emily Swim. Question, Lake Traverse.
Curtis Bissonette, Brandon Gypsy Wana,
Yes.
Dallas Owen,
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson, Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Motion to accept Exhibit C for 18 applicants. So moved by Long Hollow. Second by Lake Traverse. Question by Buffalo Lake.
Curtis Bissonette, Brandon Gypsy Wana,
Yes.
Dallas Owen,
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos, Louis Johnson, Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Council and execs.
Okay, I got my exhibits mixed up. The first one was Exhibit B. I read it. Okay, Exhibit A. Sorry about that. Exhibit A. This is. Okay, Exhibit B. I read it. Okay, Exhibit B, we've got 21 applicants under Article 2, Section 1G. And this is Briley Ann Beadham. And I wrote Red Leonidas, Sky Blue,
Yep.
Veda, so these are kind of mixed up. I must have jumped from one sheet to another. Okay, sorry about that. Briley Ann Beadham, Leonidas, Sky Blue, Veda Burnett, Zanaya Star Colton, these were all approved. Okay, so I'll go back to Exhibit A. Sorry about that. Alani Elizabeth Arguita, Ellie Sue Contreras. Yeah, I did these too, so I must have changed my paper in the middle of that.
Yeah, you did all three of them.
Yeah. Okay, it's Justin John German Jr., Alea Rain McConnell, Declan John Torgerson, Delilah Renee Ann Torgerson, I did that one too. Penny Louise Tucker, Christina Angelita Wana, I did that one. Orion Wilkie. So I'll turn these over now. Okay, Exhibit C, I got 17 applicants under Article 2, Section 1H. And this is Luella Diane Alt, Oliver. Okay, so then we can, so you're getting me mixed up now, but we got to go by A, B, C. Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm used to it the other way, approve one exhibit at a time. Okay, well, I'll go on to the next thing. Okay, for the district memberships for Biculi District, we've got 1,078, Buffalo Lake, 587, Enemy Swim, 1,779, Veblen, Kaipa, 1,465, Lake Traverse, 1,220, Long Hollow, 1,114, Old Agency, 1,417. Total registered, 8,660. 10% is 866, 20% is 1,732, 30% is 2,598. And to go on to the deceased report, we can just read these, because there's no. And I've got some of the coordinators wanted the district registered voters, so I'll pass them out to you individually, because I guess you guys don't give the reports at your districts, so they want, your coordinators want to separate report themselves. So I'll mail them out or email them to your districts. And that's it.
Okay. So moved by Long Hollow, second by Lake Traverse. Question? Susie?
Curtis Bissonette? Yes. Brandon Gypsy-Wana?
Yes.
Dallas Owen? Yes. A. Lydia Amos?
Yes.
Louis Johnson? Yes. Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Tribal Secretary? Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you, Council and Exec.
Pidamaya.
Thank you, Zama. Hang in there.
Zelma, I just wanted to let them know, I gave a handout I got from Kimberly yesterday on that Timothy Purdon. He needs the enrollment information. So I gave the letter to Zelma, and she'll draft a letter with our enrollment data to send to them. They're on the lawyers for that pharmaceutical lawsuit.
But we'll get it done today.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, members of the council, anything we have on our agenda is an update from Mark Van Norman. He was supposed to be here like, I got like an hour ago. This Mark Van, just to give everybody a heads up, I know the veterans program, I thought that motion came from council already. Approve the VA cemeteries contract with the chairman's signature. That went through executive committee. I thought that went through our council. So when he presented that, when Jerry and Upsall and everybody was there, that's what he presented. And I made a comment that we already accepted it. It came from the exec, not the council. So if we need a motion to approve that though. There's no matching funds or anything like that.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Dion. No.
I looked on the 28th, and that's what I thought. This wasn't approved till the 29th.
Second by Long Hollow. Question by Any Swim.
Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette?
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy-Wana?
Yes.
Dallas Owen? Yes. A. Lydia Amos? Yes. Louis Johnson? Yes. Tribal Secretary? Yes. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you, Council. All right, we're going to go on a little break for Mark Van Norman. Oh, perfect time. All right. Here's your contract, or here. I signed it already.
Oh, thank you very much. Do I have copies of
Good.
do you have an extra copy for me?
No, I didn't make any copies of it. You
Oh, I
emailed,
can get you one.
Thank you.
What you emailed, I emailed the council, I forwarded the council this morning.
Oh, yeah, okay, I appreciate that, Berlin. No, I was talking
Oh.
about the sheet of copies.
There you go,
All right,
Mark.
well, let me get situated.
Oh, is this
Mark.
what?
Oh, thank you.
Was this one?
Okay, well, I imagine you don't want to take forever to do this, but it's kind of time.
I know you like to talk, Mark, but you got about 20 minutes.
Okay,
there's
that's
a
what I
equi-
meant. I've got about an hour presentation and 20 minutes to make it. But maybe if some of you are having lunch, I'll join you for lunch. And we can
Okay,
talk some more.
and some of us are going to the ICWA conference that's happening at Dakota Sioux, right?
Oh, right afterwards. Okay. All right. Well, good morning. Nice to see you all, Mr. Chairman, Council. It's a pleasure to be here. Today is a big day. Treasury Department has 2 consultations, one at 2 o'clock Eastern on small business, state small business credit initiative, which we asked for funding, low interest funding, and we did work to secure this. This was a program that was under the American Rescue and Recovery Act under Obama, and there was no set aside. So they only got less than 0.5% went to Indian country. And in this one, we got a $550 million set aside out of a $10 billion program. So we're doing better. The consultation this afternoon is going to talk about this program and talk about how the tribe can be part of it. On June 6th, we need to have a letter of intent to participate. And the way that it works is they'll provide an allocation of capital that can be used for a loan program, or it can be used to support an equity infusion into a project. And we need to partner with the bank or credit union or CDFI to do it, because they're looking for a big financial match. So that's one thing. And then this American Rescue Plan, you know, our tribal government coronavirus fiscal recovery fund. That's the state, local, tribal program that we had under the CARES Act. You know, we put in a lot of requests to them. Some of our most important requests were, we wanted this program to be federally recognized tribes, not Alaska Native corporations. Oh, thank you very much. And we got that secured in the statute, that it's Indian tribes on the List Act. And I think that's very important for us, because we're in a little bit of a battle with Senator Murkowski. She wants to fund these Alaska Native corporations more than she wants to fund her Alaska Native villages. But what they do is they don't just cover Alaska Natives that live in the villages, they cover Alaska Natives wherever they live. Yeah.
So is she fighting that again? Because I know she got a big portion of it when we got our CARES funding. So is she trying to fight that for her corporations again?
You know, we fought that, and we got the List Act in this act, but this is going to be an ongoing issue for us. And I think it's also a sovereignty issue for us, because, you know, when we think of Indian nations, we think of native sovereign nations. And maybe we should take it up with NCAI, that we're really talking about native sovereign nations. And, you know, if we're going to have Rick Santorum say, I don't know anything about Native Americans, maybe we need to tell them, we're native sovereign nations. And we are not state corporations, and those ANCs are not state corporations. So we got this taken care of in this act, but, you know, Murkowski is the vice chair for the Indian Affairs Committee now, as well as Interior Appropriations. So they set up an office of Alaska Native Affairs at Interior. And I think we need to get maybe a treaty commission for us and say, you know, you've got to deal with our treaty tribes based on a sovereignty basis. And we don't want to be grouped together with state chartered corporations from Alaska. So we have nothing against the Alaska Native folks that live in their villages and maintain their traditions. You know, that's one thing, but not these state charter corporations. So we got that taken care of here. And then also there was an issue for us on the Indian Housing Block Grant Program, because under the CARES Act, you know, they had the Assistant Secretary for Indian Affairs and the Trump appointee. She was an Alaska Native Corporation lady, and she pushed it towards the Indian Housing Block Grant, and that included some of those Alaska Native corporations that provide housing. Well, so in this, it went to tribal enrollment and self-certifying tribal enrollment. So they have opened their ARP program. And Verlin, did you sign into it in the last go-around under the CARES Act? Oh, okay. Well, somebody here from the tribe signed into it last year, and I think the chairman and the planning director were involved in it. And basically, there's a security process to go through where they ask you security questions. And Myrna, you've already turned in tribal enrollment numbers to BIA in February, right? Yeah, so they've got those numbers at Treasury, and they're using our actual tribal enrollment numbers, which I'm going to take it as around 14,100 people. And so what they're going to do is, by the statute, there's $20 billion out of a $350 billion program that's set aside for tribal governments under the List Act. And the first $1 billion is a minimum statutory payment that's made equally to each tribe, and that's $1.74 million. And then the next $19 billion, 65% of that is allocated to tribal enrollment, and that's $12.35 billion. And then the next amount, they're calling that allocation the enrollment allocation, and then the next amount is the employment allocation based on the number of tribal government employees and all of your enterprise employees. And they're using the enrollment number that we've provided them for the enrollment allocation. For the employment allocation, they're using the 2019 employment numbers that we provided to them last year. Let's see, is it okay if I take this off? Okay, that makes that easier to breathe. So there's going to be two payments. They're putting together the minimum payment and the enrollment allocation payment. And as soon as you sign into the portal and you affirm the enrollment number, 4 or 5 days, they should have the first payment to you. Then in mid-May sometime, they're going to give us a response back that says, please fill out, you know, the tribal employment part. That's going to already have the number from last year. So you can take a look at your number from last year, and if you think there was anybody that was forgotten or left out, they can be added, but otherwise you just affirm the number that was put in last year. So basically we made a little bit of progress, and I have to say that we did talk to you know, Senator Rounds and Senator Thune and our North Dakota senators on the List Act issue and on our tribal enrollment issue. And Senator Thune is well aware that Murkowski is trying to get more money. And he's real quiet about it, but they're doing their best to keep a lid on that. So they have an interim final rule that's out there that talks about the use of the funds. And they've got disadvantaged communities. They're recognizing that our Native communities are harder hit than the rest of the country. And they're wanting to provide us some leeway in terms of, you know, the allocation and use of the funds. So this on the use of the funds is much better than it was. And I'm going to say that we were very consistent to say that they should be recognizing economically disadvantaged communities, and they do, and that we should be recognizing that we have prior conditions and we have deficits in our community infrastructure and programs, and these prior conditions and these deficits ought to be recognized. So that's what this is recognizing that. And when they passed the law, they had, the House passed the bill. It focused mostly on lost revenue. The Senate got the bill, and Senator Manchin said, we're going to hold this up for a little bit here because we want to make some changes. And we had weighed in very heavily with our delegations to say that, you know, we ought to be taking care of people with prior vulnerability and that have a lack of the infrastructure. And you can see that some of that is reflected here because this language is from the Senate, and they replaced the House language, and they put in assistance to households, which was responsive to us, and small business and nonprofits, and aid to impacted industries such as tourism, travel, and hospitality includes gaming for us. And then it allows for premium pay for eligible workers, and it allows for where we've had a reduction in revenue, and they're recognizing that our tribal government revenue is based on our tribal enterprise revenue, that we can take that into account in the spending. And infrastructure, water, sewer, and broadband, because, you know, we've had these deficits on water and sewer, and you know how you fight, you know, to get the right size pipeline so you can get more houses. And you know that we should be getting an upgrade for our sewer facilities because we can change out lagoons and do things like that that are public health oriented. And the broadband was very important for schools and for the government and for work. So this is detailed, you know, throughout this. They said it a little bit more simply in the interim rule, and they're saying, here you got 4 eligible uses. Respond to the public health emergency and its negative impact. Pay the premium pay to essential workers. Provide government services to the extent of the revenue losses and make necessary water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure investments. They have a rule, none of the money can go to a pension fund, and they were worried about the states refunding their pensions. So then this goes through somewhat on the use of the funds, and I'm sure you guys can look that over. But, you know, obviously medical expenses, behavioral health care, public health and safety staff, eligible uses to address disparities in public health outcomes, that's our prior vulnerability. Housing services to provide a healthy living environment, impacts on households and individuals, businesses, impacts on state and local governments, things that made the pre-existing disparities worse, assistance to unemployed workers, assistance to household, rehiring staff that had to be let go because of a lack of revenue, aid to impacted industries, that includes gaming. So what this means is, I think we've already updated some of the air handling at some of the enterprises, but all of that air handling could be updated, and there can be things to make sure that your enterprises that are interacting with the public, you know, are healthy and have that background. Housing, education, early childhood, water, sewer, broadband infrastructure. They give an example of people that could get premium pay, staff at nursing, hospitals, home care centers, farm, food production, janitors, sanitation, truck drivers, transit, public health and safety, child care workers, educators, and school staff, social services, and human services staff. So, depending on how you want to do that. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So with that, could it be the janitors and sanitation workers, food production, any of that, can that be at our for-profits as well, or just for direct government, tribal government employees?
You know, I think your assistance to your enterprises, because they're part of your revenue generation, you know, is up to you how you want to do that. And there's assistance to small businesses. Most of our businesses count as small businesses. I think probably all of them count as small businesses. So, unless you have anybody that's more than 500 employees per. So you can do that. And when they're looking at lost revenue, that includes all revenue from tribal enterprises, since Treasury recognizes that this is essential funding for the tribal government. Now, when you get your methodology, there's a mathematical methodology for how to do that, and it includes some calculation that you might have had some growth. So that's in here, and your financial people can do that. But that money is going to be more flexible for you, because you can put that to use, you know, as you would have if you had had that
Mark.
revenue.
Sorry to interrupt, Mark.
Yeah.
Madam Secretary has a good question before we go on.
Hello, Mark. Thanks for coming. In the interim final rule, use of funds, it says it could be used to replace state, local, and tribal government revenue lost due to COVID-19.
Yeah.
So would that mean that we can replace our lost revenue from when the casino shut down for 2 months?
Yes. That's what that means. And then it's looking for you to reinvest that by putting it back to government purposes. But part of government purposes are responding to the pandemic. So you can upgrade your facility, you know, like I said, to you know, have better air handling. Like at the movies, they're saying that they're going to have triple filters, and they've got health filters and things like that. I think one of your casinos, you've already done that. But you can look at your other places to upgrade your heating and cooling, things like that. It is going to count. It is going to count that revenue, and then you're more flexible in what you do with those revenues. Those are tribal government determinations. What you do with those revenues. Okay, so they're trying to give us more latitude for use of
Curtis.
I'm sorry.
So, Mark, with that being said, this next round of funding we're going to get, it's basically up to us then how we want to spend that, or is there certain guidelines we still got to follow?
There's certain guidelines, and they're in this interim final rule, and that's what I'm trying to provide you guidance for it. And it's about a 120-page document, so even though this PowerPoint seems pretty long, it's shorter than their thing.
Just give you a heads up too, Mark, too. I know we're not going to try to get this done in one day, but we're planning on the 18th and 19th that we all want to gather and start planning this money that's going to be coming up. So just wondering if you're available for those 2 days.
I can come out. I'm tied up on the 19th, but I can come out on the 18th.
Okay. Because we're thinking about the full days of the 18th and 19th, because we're going to invite the leadership.
Sure.
ECA, so they'll be there. And right now we're planning at Dakota Sioux for now.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, for sure I'll be here for you on the 18th. So, that's good news, because through the tribe's persistence and advocacy and our work with Great Plains and the National Congress of American Indians, we have got these policies. We did a resolution on federally recognized tribes and tribal membership. And we want to have a bridge, and we've been talking to Census about how to get our better tribal membership numbers into the census. And so there's going to be, we can talk about that on a different day, but there's a MOU that we can do with them. So next on the American Jobs Plan, President Biden is busy. And I got to say, he's an American, and he's a humanitarian, and he's trying to do right by American people. and he's trying to watch out for people that have been subjected to racism and oppression, and that's us. So these are big things that are going to happen. What's in the American Jobs Plan? Let's see if I can do this the right way. $621 billion. They're going to double the Indian Transportation Program. As you know, that's not enough. $174 billion on electric vehicles. $115 billion for fixing roads and bridges. The 10 most economically significant bridges, as well as 10,000 smaller bridges. Caregivers for the elderly and people with disability. He wants to fund elder care, because what's happening to people is if you're an elder and you have to go to a nursing home, you have to give up all your assets in order to go to the nursing home, and he's trying to redress that. He wants to promote manufacturing, so he's got research and development and manufacturing. $300 billion for manufacturing. $50 billion towards semiconductor research. I think on the manufacturing, they're going to do a Buy America plan. We have to ask them to put in a Buy Indian provision in this bill. So I'll get you something on that, Mr. Chairman. Worker training. Quality of life at home. They're going to put money to rehab homes, so homes that have been impacted by the meth situation, we should be able to get money to rehab those homes. School buildings, water infrastructure, and broadband. Clean drinking water.
Sorry, Mark.
Go ahead.
Dali is waving his two fingers around, so.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Mark. So I was curious, will this money be coming through the Bureau of Education as well?
You know, we did in the last plan get BIE, you know, 850 million just in this package that's in addition. And they had about 31 billion out of the 1.9 trillion plan. And I talked to Senator Schumer's office, and they said they're going to shoot for another 31 billion for tribes, so they're going to try and put set-asides in here into these programs for tribes, and that's what we're working on. And we also like to get a Buy Indian program if they're going to do Buy American.
Because the reason why I ask is because I think we need another school here, because our wait list just at TZ alone is quite a long list, and so I want to make sure that we'll be able to, it says towards constructing or modernizing public schools, and I feel like, you know, those are our schools, and I feel like we need to construct another one.
If you think you need another school, now is the time. Now is the time, and we should talk to some of our technical assistance providers to get, you know, just a mock-up of a concept going and where you think it would be. And we should put that forward, because this legislation is going to move over the summer. And here's how it's going to go. The Republicans are, I'm sorry.
Who's ex-officials of the schools?
I'm sorry.
Maybe ask Junior. Maybe Junior could get with. Maybe we could have some leadership from the schools attend the planning sessions the 18th when Mark is here.
Okay.
That would be good. That would be good.
Remind Junior, maybe Dr. Johnson and the other schools.
I'll contact the ones on the board.
I just want to make
Thank
a note before I forget, because I just turned 46.
So then, just to elaborate on that a little bit, then Mark, you're already actively trying to get money through the BIE to come down for us on this.
We're trying to get set-asides. We're trying to get a 5.5% set-aside for these programs.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So you see other issues: Veterans Affairs hospitals and clinics, community college infrastructure. They want to do EPA issues like plugging old oil and gas wells and reclaiming abandoned mines. Those are very significant for some tribes. I'm going to say at Navajo, they have a lot of uranium mines, that were for national defense. But when they got done mining the uranium, the company went away, the company's gone, it's bankrupt, but the mines are still open and there's still tailings. So some tribes are very impacted by those things. There's gonna be money for green energy because they're gonna deal with climate change. So we should be looking at green enterprise energy. So that's something that we need to think about. So it's, with Joe Biden, he's paying attention to American people. So it's a good thing. I had a resolution, Berlin, that I sent you also, did I? Yeah, I think I sent you a resolution. I'd like to, yeah, we can go over that next time. But basically, you know, we want to ask for continuing funding for the police and adult detention. Because Gary says that he really needs 20 more cells, 20 more beds, and he needs a police station that will match up, you know, with our 25-bed facility. Now, I guess we should take a minute just to say it was good news to have Secretary Hallen affirm that they are doing the additional $6 million that we asked for coming out of last summer. And, you know, we had the cost overrun. So you guys are all aware of that. And we did get an email back from their infrastructure people that it was going to be added to the self-determination contract. And I was on the call yesterday with Sam Wilkie, your guy, and he's doing a good job, and Gary and Bruce and Matt and everybody were on. And you know, they're looking to redo the schedule so that they can think that maybe in September, October, they're going to be able to start with the foundation. So they're going to start, you know, some of the concrete while it's still this construction season. And Congress will be very happy about that because they would like to see, you know, these things move out. So, I thought it would be earlier. Well, you know, you'd hope it would be earlier. If there's any way to do it a month earlier, we should. So we need 12 million more there if we could. And then we need to do our inpatient drug and alcohol treatment center. So we're asking for 12 million there. We also need to always ask for the detention staffing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So is that in addition to what's currently being built?
That's in addition to what's currently being built, because we'll like to ask for the police station. You know, the police station's still, you know, was originally part of that detention center that was closed. And so your guys are still over there. They really need to be over with the current situation.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the treatment center.
Oh, the treatment center is in addition. Yeah.
In addition to what's currently being built.
I mean, I guess we can figure out that planning, but for now we have that request in because that was a standing request for the tribe, and we were going to ask for that as a model project basis for the IHS to be included in their funding. Now, if you guys think that you're going to repurpose those COVID facilities, then we'll look for language that recognizes those so you can get the staffing.
Well, maybe what we need to do is sit down and talk about that.
Okay.
Just for
Maybe
my
on the
information,
18th
'cause I hate
we
to
can
say.
talk about that some more.
Yeah, and then can any of this funding be for O&M for at least a couple years?
You know what we could ask for? I mean, if you think that you want to, this coronavirus fiscal recovery fund. It's a little bit of a different name. Last time it was coronavirus relief fund. That money can be used flexibly for your O&M, for your healthcare staffing. They're recognizing in this interim final rule that there's a connection between the coronavirus and depression. I don't know if anybody felt sad. Sure, we faced a lot of family losses, and it just has an impact on you. So they're recognizing that mental health and well-being is important. They're also recognizing that alcohol and substance abuse is significantly impacted, and nationwide there was 13% more drug overdoses than there were prior to the pandemic. So we can deal with that. So we're going to be busy. If I come back on the 18th, I'd like to work out with you, that resolution that we're going to do. And if you want to add a school to that, we should ballpark that.
I know you sent that resolution out to the council, but Madam Secretary is bringing a hard copy for council if you.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe, if we can pass it now, then we'll add to it on, at your next session. But it's good to get something going because it's time to get our message into the Senate. And we did.
Your handout and your second page.
Yeah.
May 24th, each tribal government, every federally recognized Indian tribe can access the portal now.
Everyone can access the portal now. There's already about 50 tribes that already signed up. As soon as you access the portal, 4 or 5 days later, they're going to send you the money.
So Good, yeah.
Sorry, I was going to ask this before. So with the comment in those online meetings that are being held, are we having anybody go on to those? Has anybody been? I know that we did the one with the Treasury.
Yeah.
Because there's two more that I learned.
There's one today at 2 o'clock Eastern, so that's going to be 3 o'clock here. I want to get my time zones mixed up. And then there's one at 3:30. Okay, so the one at 2 o'clock is that small business, state small business credit initiative that has a $550 million set aside. I've talked to Matt Thompson, and Matt's going to get on that one. I imagine he'll get on the other one at 3:30 as well, which will be 4:30 your time.
Sorry. So I was just going to ask, that's kind of what I was going to ask, is we could just, somebody from or if we can delegate Matt to be on these calls,
sure, that
would be great.
Yeah.
And I know he's your employee. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Matt and I got on a preliminary call, and we had Lakota Vogel from Four-Bands CDFI at Cheyenne River was on, and a few other people. But we had a preliminary call with, these people that are managing the SSBCI. And so I'll get you guys comments on the SSBCI, but one thing that we wanted to recognize was economic disadvantage and number of households below the poverty line when they figure out the allocation. So, I think those are considerations that make sense because the SSBCI funding is intended to help tribes that have difficulty accessing credit, which I think is us, even though over a period of time the tribe's been successful with many projects. There's many more things that you really need to do if we could get favorable funding. So we'll keep looking at that. And then I was on a call with Nancy Montoya and Casey Lozar. And Casey's at the Federal Reserve. He's from the Salish Kootenai tribe. And in Minneapolis Federal Reserve, they've been kind of doing a little think tank about Indian economic development. So we've talked to Casey, and he came in as an interim advisor. And then we've worked quite a bit with Fatima Abbas, who's NCI's vice president for policy. And Casey's just over there temporary. He's going back to the Federal Reserve. And Fatima's going to come over and run the Treasury program. So one of the things that we've tried to do is say that they ought to include the Indian canon of construction. And we talked to Senator Rounds, and he might like to bring this forward for us. That really, when they have these statutes, we you know, we have to live with the statutory programs because it's federal funding and it's coming from Congress. But the agency should give us as much leeway as possible recognizing our self-determination. And if we can get that rule forward, you know, it will help us. They've kind of taken that approach in their interim final rule, but we'd like to get them to state that. So we can put a comment back to the final rule to ask them to do that, but we would like to get it in statute as well, so that, you know, if we ever come to, you know, a situation where we disagree with the Office of Inspector General, we say, look, Congress intended to recognize our self-determination, so here we are. So we'll continue to press that forward. I'm glad I can come back on the 18th and talk to you more at length. This is current and topical now because this is happening right now.
Council, I don't know if you guys could bring it up on your guys' cell phone, but as Mark mentioned earlier, that resolution, I don't know if you want to act on it today or just wait. Go ahead, Curtis.
So about that, if we're going to add to it, I think it'll be better if we get it all done on the 18th when you come, Mark. Is that okay? If we're going to add to it, then we're going to be approving it twice.
Well, the 18th isn't very far away. Why don't we fix it up and get it done on the 18th?
Okay. I think we can just do it then, and then we'll have it all done for you.
Yeah. Let me mention this to you. You know, on the Community Justice Center and Rehabilitation Center, you know, it's been a journey, and Louie's been looking at this stuff for a long time, and I know you have, Mr. Chairman. You know, one of the things that the tribe said to begin with was we were going to dedicate $5 million to the project, and I think we've got about $1.5 million in. It's a little bit difficult to get juvenile justice facilities because they really don't have a program for it anymore. And I think if we wanted to invest some money from the tribe, you know, if we invested $3.5 million to the Juvenile Justice Center, that would put us in good stead with our congressional delegations. And then what we would try and do is get a statutory reference to that facility so that we get O&M and staffing for that facility.
Gypsy, then Dion. Oh, thought you had your hand raised, sorry.
It totally was not up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So are you talking about jail cells for kids?
It doesn't have to be a jail cell. It could be a community. It could be a juvenile wellness center. That's really what would probably be more appropriate for kids. Not really a jail for kids.
Yeah, I think.
But really a community, kind of a community center, and then for kids in needs of services.
I think I'm in. Normally, Madam Secretary and I are on the same wavelength with this. I really, when you say juvenile justice center, boy, it's like red flags everywhere. So I think, yeah. So I think that that would take, you know, before we really even talk about that, I think we need to sit down and plan that, because I can't be a part of, you know, putting our young people in jail. But treatment, counseling, parenting
counseling,
for the family, I think would be positive. Thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman.
maybe a juvenile and family center is more appropriate way to cast it. And you know, I think that that's in line with.
Got one more question for Mark. Can you stick around for one? We got one more action item from one of our for-profits, the Fuel Inc.
Sure.
If you could stick around for that.
Yep.
Before we finish this afternoon. Go ahead, Madam Secretary.
I was just going to give you a little history lesson, I guess. We used to have a juvenile detention center, and prior to that it was called Adolescent Residential Center, ARC. And that's where the kids that were in trouble would go and reside, and it was more like a dormitory style. So it was for girls and boys, and that seemed to work well. I don't know why it ever went away, but something like that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think if you were to do that, I think that, you put, maybe some recreation in there, so there's recreational activities, and, you'd want to have it be a nice building with a lot of light, so it's productive for, behavioral health. And I think it could be a very nice, useful facility for you. And then not only do you have kids that, may get in trouble with substance abuse or something, but you have kids that have difficulty at home. And if they're promoted, we went down and we took a trip, and Gary was on the trip, and some of the folks, like I'm going to think maybe Junior was on the trip, and we went to San Carlos, and they talked about, they had a program with a couple of teachers, and they were teaching kids that were having difficulty in school, and these kids were doing great. They turned around from having difficulty in school to being high school graduates. Some of them got jobs, some of them went on to college, and it was really impressive. So that could be, an educational component could be part of that, and really be kind of a more uplifting experience for the young people.
Thanks, Mark. Anything else for Mark? I'm going to go ahead. Curtis?
Yeah, I really think Madam Secretary is on with that revisiting that ARC concept, because in there it has a treatment schedule for your kids, and it had consistency. It taught them to do things like your chores, how to take care of yourself. I mean, it was really up to the individual to do all of that. And I think we really need to sit down and revisit that. If that's the direction we want to go in, that would be a model that would be suffice for us here, I think. So.
Well, I'll talk to you before the 18th, and then we can incorporate those into there and make sure that it's the right, helpful situation that it's supposed to be. Okay. Yeah, so there's a lot of work to do, but I mean, Joe Biden, I don't know what you can say about Joe Biden, but apparently he waited a long time to be president, and he has all his ideas lined up, and he's going to push them forward. So there's going to be a little bit of this dynamic that's going to go on. The Republicans are going to just say no. And, Senator Thune is in the leadership, so more or less he's ultimately hoping to become the majority leader in the Senate, and that's his career path in the Senate. So he has to stick with Senator McConnell, and they're going to say those things. President Biden is going to work something out, and it has to pass muster with Joe Manchin from West Virginia, because they have to hold the 50 votes together in the Senate, and then Vice President Harris provides the tie-breaking vote. So what we're asking our delegations, look, we know you may come down to the point of voting against this, but this is too big for folks to be on the sideline. So we want to ask you to help us with our programs and projects, even though you may ultimately vote against the bill. And I think that's their outlook. I think they know that a big bill is coming, and that President Biden is determined, and it's going to happen. So it may not be exactly the outlines that he's proposed, because it kind of subject to negotiation, but the Republicans are going to come forward with a $550 billion to $600 billion infrastructure bill, and they're going to say that none of the human infrastructure is really infrastructure. They're going to say caregivers are not infrastructure, We're talking about highway, roads, and water and sewer. We're not talking about schools, but we have to ask them to help us work, if we need the school, that they'll help us work. And they will, because they know they can't be left at the station when this train pulls out. And I have to say, our delegations have been good and helpful. And what do you know, we did those letters last year. We did a letter with the Senate, we did a letter with the House. and Congresswoman Halland was on our on our letter promoting the additional funding for the Justice Center. So she knew the issue when she got to be secretary. So I think we have a lot of support. Governor Noem has reached out and said that, you know, she'll put some things forward for us on infrastructure as well. And we did send over a letter to her that included some of the transportation infrastructure, and she's helped us in the past on the Justice Center. So we may not agree on everything. We may not agree on 80% of the things, but if there's 90% of things, if there's some room for progress, you never know where your help will come from. So well, thank you for having me, and I always appreciate the opportunity to work with you all.
Thanks, Mark.
See you in 5 days, huh? Yeah, yeah.
The last one on our agenda is going to be Mr. James Byrd. You got about like 5 minutes, so we're going to conclude here. We've been waiting you for like 2 hours, James.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
As we know what's happening in the West Coast, everybody's going crazy with their fuel, so that's what James is here for.
Right now,
Oh, yeah, East Coast.
right now it's more on the East Coast.
Yeah, sorry about that, James. But
I don't know if you guys are watching the news, but it is really uncertain out there. Everything is going up. Price of steel, price of gas, propane. We're already experiencing our diesel shortages that we don't usually get until July. I mean, with that Colonial pipeline shut down for this last week, it already reached as far as Chicago. Right now, we're looking at over 100,000 CDL drivers that retired due to COVID. That's how much the United States is short. What I'm asking, I guess, is for $1 million from the tribe to invest into fueling for more storage, newer trucks, or new trucks. I feel we need to act on this because it is uncertain out there. Everything is going up. I just talked to a couple of suppliers today, and they just basically told me the days of cheap propane are gone. It's only going to go up from here. Right now, it's already contracted. It's already 40 cents higher than it was last year. And that's huge. I mean, and it's not expected to go down. It might go down, fluctuate over the summer a few cents, but as soon as this winter hits and cold, it's going to go right back up again.
I know.
So I feel we need to act on these storage tanks as soon as possible on the new trucks. I mean, I gave you a sheet here with the total gallons of propane that we sold for the heating season 18-19, 19-20, and 2021. Our propane sales has been going down, but a majority of that is because of our equipment. I mean, we can't get out there and deliver if we can't keep the trucks running. And like I said, one of the trucks has 400,000 miles on it. So the only one that we've been using and it's getting a lot of wear and tear is a new propane truck, the 2018. And that's been going nonstop, 8, 10, 12 hours a day.
Dallas.
So, and then the other thing I wanted to ask was for a motion to be made on our importer-exporter. We did have like 5 roundtable meetings, and I think it was pretty much settled the last roundtable we had, and the vice chairwoman, she gave me a draft on how I wanted the motion to be made or read. So I did give them that draft, and I gave council that draft last Friday. I mean, we're hoping to get these importer-exporter to help with our business too, and that could go towards a lot of stuff. With the diesel shortages, we have a bulk fuel plant that started out new but has never been completed. I mean, I don't know how many thousands of dollars was invested in it, but it's just sat there for years. I mean, I feel that we need to get that up and going too. I have somebody coming out this weekend to do an estimate on what it will take to get it going, but some of the, I mean, it just sat there for years and years getting rusty. If we could get that going, we have room for 40,000+ gallons of diesel that we could keep on hand. Heating fuel, trucks, whatever. I mean, that would be huge too. Then we could take advantage of the lower gas prices. Wow, I don't know. It's, like I said, it's hard to say. There's no number 2 diesel in Watertown or Fargo right now, and Sioux Falls has a limited supply. Last year we had to go as far, well, Breon went on that run. They had to send 2 trucks up to St. Paul, Minnesota to get diesel. And they could only bring back 14,000 gallons before they were overweight, so.
I got a question from Dallas and Curtis.
So I guess I'm just going to cut straight to the chase here. So judging from what we just heard from Mark and the request that James is putting for us, it does look like it can be covered. But then the only question I have then is, when is the sure date that we'll get these funds in? And then James, when do you need those funds?
I need them as soon as possible, especially for the B&B piping. We were initially given a quote and the installation and completed of the new storage tanks and a new bulk plant up in Enemy Swim to be completed mid-July. Everybody's trying to get tanks. Everybody's adding on storage. So now we got pushed back to the end of August because we can't secure our 30% down. I mean, we've had that problem before where we waited too long to act on something and then we missed out on the opportunity.
So then, to get everything sorted out, we'll say by the 20th. How long would you estimate that we'll have those funds in? If everything was mashed potatoes and gravy and we're good to go.
I think what Treasury is telling us is that if we go onto the system and log in and affirm our tribal enrollment, that within a week, we'll have those funds. So, if it's possible to take care of that tomorrow or Monday, you should have them, imminently. So if you work out the contracts, usually it takes a little bit to work out the contracts, you should have the funding to do that, and I think that's an eligible thing, because part of what they're talking about is making sure that we have the infrastructure, to support their households, and this is a utility thing, so I think it's going to allow the cost. And it's just a question of whether it's under the lost revenue or under the infrastructure line, but I think you can make the case that, say when we need water and sewer and broadband, we need heating utility. So I think we definitely, under the overall umbrella, can do it. And whether it can be under infrastructure or whether it can be under lost revenue, it can be under one of those two factors.
And so then, thank you, Mark. Now going back to James, say, hypothetically, we give you the green light and everything is good by June 1st, which I believe is a Monday. Would that work out for you potentially?
You see, yeah, I have the tank secured already. They're building them now. I just don't have the B&B piping secured because they're asking for a payment. I would like to get the tanks paid for as soon as possible so that way nobody could come up and buy them out from under us. And I know we gave them a verbal that to go ahead, but we didn't do a contract or nothing with them yet. So that's what I'm afraid of. I mean, if you look now, like I asked for a pickup. If you look at the lots now, there are no pickups like that on the lot because this price of steel is so high, they're not making them. they're only making them to order. So with this truck, I have to order it and get it a few months later.
All right,
I mean,
Jeremy.
Curtis, then Dan.
So, if this is an allowable cost, then I think it should be at our 18th meeting also, so we can put it in the resolution. And then that way, Mark, I think what you're telling us, it is allowable cost because it has to do with heating our houses and stuff, so it should be in our resolution. So, and then the other thing is that I think, you know, with everybody there, you know, and the vice chairman present, then this can be all done on the 18th, you know. And then I think we would have a sooner answer for you then, that we can do it.
okay,
We can approve that, so.
sounds fair. What about the motion for the importer-exporter?
The what?
The importer-exporter, that motion? I gave you guys.
Same days, that way the vice chair will be there too.
Okay, because we've been waiting for almost a year now for that initial motion that was made. And Francis made that motion back in last August. And it keeps getting tabled. We had 5 or 6 roundtable meetings on it. And this last meeting, it was agreed on finally. And the vice chairwoman gave us a draft on how we wanted the motion to be read or to go. So we gave that to council, and we're still waiting.
Sure, and I know Mr. Bird has it too, so.
I mean, yeah, I might even have it with me, but it's getting frustrating. I mean, we have plans and we want to do a customer appreciation this summer for our customers, but I mean, funds are limited. We're trying to save what we have now for the expected costs of propane. The tax office.
Yeah. That'll be the 18th.
All right.
So if you have a chance to go with that meeting over at the zoo for that one.
Yeah, we'll be at the zoo on the 18th.
Okay.
Yeah?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I you know, I know that, you know, it feels like it's, you know, we have this money coming and we should just, but, you know, we really have to, if there's other places, because I know that we're getting a portion for lost revenue, that part of it, I would really like to protect as much as possible. And then if there's another place where we can, you know, get funding for this, you know, for your portion, I think we should do that. And I know that it's these are things that it feels like we really need right now, but we don't even have them. We don't even have that amount right now. And I know that RPC did support the tanks, and so guaranteed the tanks with Section $7, which, you know, was pretty generous to them. And, you know, when we asked them, they were more than willing to do that. But we gotta, you know, so this is a good proposal. And if it, you know, when it comes to the table, because propane is for us here a necessary item, I'm sure we're gonna do it and find a place for it. It's just today, because we don't have the money and we don't totally know exactly, it's a little bit difficult. Thank you.
Last year, council contracted like 19,000 gallons for hardships at $1.35 a gallon. This year, people are going to need it more. I mean, with the price of propane, the way it's going now, we're looking at $1.50, $1.75 just for the customer's price. I mean, it's not looking good right now in the propane or the fuel market. I mean, Colonial's back up and running, and it'll take a while for them to get back on track, but them shutting down 1 million plus barrels a day, it had a huge impact on the fuel prices and everything here. I mean, it's slowly trickling its way back to us. It's already in Chicago, and that's one of the pipelines that we go through for our diesel and stuff too. So,
Wanted to add to that, Dion?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, did that come out of gaming? When you secured those, that was gaming the funding source for those 19,000 gallons of propane? Does anybody know? It was the CARES Act? Had they done it previous to that? Had you guys done it?
I talked to other propane companies, native propane companies. We're part of the NIPA, National Northwestern Intertribal Propane Association. And the last COVID funding, they all got from anywhere from $75,000 to $1 million. One even got $1.5 million to start a propane business for their tribe. I mean, they got new trucks, new storage tanks. We just went to one in Standing Rock, and he has a new 60,000 gallon tank out there. I mean, those were all used with COVID funds. So the wording is there. We just have to figure out how we're going to word it.
It's hard because our vice isn't here, so it's hard to.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do.
And it's hard to get everybody here.
Yeah, we tell the vice chairs here at, when we have a meeting the 18th.
So the 18th?
Yes.
Okay. And then I will talk to these vendors and see if we can hold out till then. Propane truck. We're already looking, if we acted on this last month, we could have had one by the end of November. Now we're looking at February and March for them to be able to complete a truck for us. So every day longer or a week longer we wait, it postpones it. Like a week will be a month in delivery time. So that's why I'm just expressing the urgency. If we want to act on this, we should do it as soon as possible. And it is a good investment for the tribe. It'll be able to sustain the people. And I feel council should contract more propane for hardships. Like I said, people are going to need it more this year than they did last year. But done now.
Thanks, James. Dallas?
And I appreciate James bringing everything to the table like this. And like I said, I like your proposal, and then, but until the money's actually here, we can't give it to you.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I agree with what you got saying on there, and just thank you again for coming in front of us. Appreciate it.
Okay, with that, members of council and execs, appreciate you coming in.
Okay. I just got a text from one of our suppliers. I have two competing against each other for our contract for this coming heating season. The price they had was at $1.09 a gallon, not including freight. And so I texted the other supplier, and so now they're down to $1.06, not including freight. So when you tack on the 30 cents freight, we're still running around 40, 45 cents higher than last year.
Oh, dear.
So what kind of motion are you asking? I'm not really sure. I mean, I read it, but what kind of motion are you asking for?
I'm asking for a motion for money for the storage tanks and the propane trucks, because right now storage is key. The more propane that we can buy and store for the heating season, the cheaper it'll be for us once the prices start going up. The rack prices are expected to be higher than they've been in the last 10, 15 years.
So how much for the propane? How much? Because we don't have this amount right now.
Yeah, I know.
So but maybe we might have it for propane.
Well, I have the or I have a contract coming in. We were able to negotiate 91 cents a gallon for the new storage tanks to get them, well, actually all 5 of our tanks filled at 91 cents a gallon. And so he hasn't said when he needed that yet, but he's doing the contract now. And that's a really good price considering what the prices are now.
Yeah.
And if we could store 120,000 gallons of gas, propane, that's huge. I mean, and then with that one up in Enemy Swim, that's going to be even better. That's what I'm asking for, is the storage and the capabilities to deliver it. I did talk with the railroad today, but we're still looking at about 3 or 4 years out for that. Because they have to update the line to haul propane.
Anything else, council? Hands are tied, James. Tell Nick.
All right, thank you, council, for your time. I know you're busy.
Maybe you'll get them down to another 5 cents.
Well, I am, actually, but
If there's no further business, motion to adjourn at 12:44. Oh, motion to approve Feelings report. So moved by Tokanawa. Second by Lake Traverse. Question, Buffalo Lake.
Dallas Owen,
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos, Louis Johnson, Dion Crawford, Curtis Bissonette. Oh, he left. Brandon Gypsy Wana. Tribal Secretary. Mr. Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you, council and execs, and I also appreciate Madam Secretary for keeping me on point to remind me of our agenda. So sometimes I do forget. Motion to adjourn at 12:45. So moved by Lake Traverse, second by Tokanawa. Members of council and execs, we are adjourned at 12:45.